can't believe it's finally time. Welcome back to Kinda Funny's Nolan in Review. That's right. We are ranking and reviewing every Christopher Nolan directed movie. As always, I'm Tim Gettys, joined by the producer / seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Greg, you're making me hungry. Was that a moon pie? What do you got over there?
Chocolate cake.
A chocolate cake for breakfast?
Wow.
Good for you,
No,
my
I
friend.
had an apple already.
Did you freeze it?
So it's breakfast dessert.
Hey, man, I
Of
need
course,
that energy.
we have the most energetic, naughty man in the world, Greg Miller.
Hello, children.
Oh, God damn. We have the Nitro Rifle, Andy Cortez.
It's finally here. I can't believe it. I cannot believe we're doing this in the year 2020 of our Lord.
And we have the big dog, Kevin Coelho.
What's up?
Nick's here too.
He introduced me first. And then I
Where's the
and then I
first
threw to
one,
Greg.
Andy?
I threw to Greg. It's you know why I was, Greg, is because that chocolate sounded so moist. It took everyone.
Here's the thing about it. And you, if I'm lying,
You started talking and it was like it was like
water's pouring out of my
hard.
mouth. You know what I mean?
Open your mouth.
You can
'cause
see
it
the
was
tendrils.
So moist. Oh,
The
God,
thing
yeah.
about this cake, ladies and gentlemen, is a Genevieve Saint-Onge, the love of my life, Miller, creation. And there's no eggs, no flour. It's avocado and
flourless
sugar and chocolate. It's
So
and
it
it's so
sucks.
fucking moist.
I call it.
Oh, it's so good. And I know a lot of people don't like moist, so I want everyone to think about my moist mouth right up next to your ear right now. Tenet, and I'll say it backwards. Tenet.
It's a
Good
palindrome.
Lord.
Palindrome.
All right, guys. You can watch this show live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, or you can watch it later on youtube.com/kindafunny or roosterteeth.com. If you want to listen to it as a podcast, just search your favorite podcast service for Kinda Funny in Review, and we'll be right there for you. If you want to get the show ad-free, patreon.com/kindafunny is where you want to be. And speaking of ads, we're brought to you by Manscaped, but I will get to that later because I can't wait to talk about the first major blockbuster we've been able to watch in the year 2020 since Sonic the Hedgehog and onward.
First of many. We got a lot more coming by the end.
I mean, I guess that's the thing. Yeah, we do have Wonder Woman coming up as well. But this is it. This is Tenet. Been waiting for this for a very long time. Directed by Christopher Nolan. Music, Andy. Do you know who did the music?
No.
It was not Hans Zimmer.
It was
Hans
sick,
Zimmer
though.
was committed to Dune, so he couldn't do this.
Oh, that's
So
gonna be
the
great.
sick, fucking nasty music in this was done by Ludwig Göransson, who you might know as the
Ghost Runner.
Mandalorian,
Oh,
motherfucker, which is like
Oh.
the coolest thing ever.
That
He also
makes a lot of
is
sense.
Childish Gambino's producer, which is awesome.
Did he write who wrote the title song for it? The song that actually came out that's like that really
Greg?
cool.
Greg Miller, it is your job to
DJ
give the
Junkie
answer.
XL.
No,
Oh.
you know him. You know him well.
Murs. Mega
No,
Ran.
even better.
Weezer.
You
Taylor
know him.
Swift.
He's the man of the year 2020.
Oh, Cactus Jack.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Travis Scott himself did the plan. That was once again produced by Ludwig Göransson, which is just rad as
So
shit.
good. It's a rad song. The
Yes.
soundtrack in this movie is on point. It's so cool.
Released, to talk about release date, it was delayed 3 times because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Tenet was released in the United Kingdom on August 26, 2020, and in the United States on September 3rd, 2020, in IMAX 35 millimeter and 70 millimeter. Then December 15th, it came out on home video and streaming services. It was the first Hollywood tentpole to open in theaters after the pandemic shutdown and has grossed $361 million against a $200 million budget, losing Warner Brothers Pictures a projected $100 million, but still making it the 4th highest grossing film of 2020.
That's so sad.
But what's interesting there, can you guys guess what is above it? What 3 are above it?
Bad Boys for Life. is
Bad
number
Boys
one.
for Life is coming in at
Number one?
3.
Oh,
Number
whoa,
3?
Whoa.
Number 1 and 2 are Chinese movies.
Okay. That makes
The
sense.
800 and My People, My Homeland, which both made around $450 million. Nick Scarpino from Kinda Funny.
Where does the New Mutants rank on that list? Where did that come in?
The New Mutants, I'm only seeing the top 10 here, but it did not make
New
it. At number
Mutants,
10, number
No,
10,
that's
we have
unfortunate.
another Chinese movie called Sacrifice. Birds of Prey coming in at number 9.
Interesting.
Another
Oh,
Chinese
right.
movie at 8. Doolittle at 7.
Whoa.
Doolittle.
Another Chinese movie at 6.
The movie that Robert Downey Jr. quit the MCU to do,
Mhm.
Doolittle.
And then Sonic the Hedgehog at number 5. You'll love this.
What a weird year for movies, man.
What a weird year.
I really, I'm. This is not sequitur, but I'm so curious to see how Wonder Woman does. I like just because if they have like what 1 week or 2 weeks to, or 1 week basically to like get those numbers in for 2020, it's going to be interesting.
No way it does well at all.
Doesn't matter. HBO Max is here to save the world. Snyder Cut next year. Everybody subscribe right now.
Sure.
Anyways, that's what we got. A runtime of 2 hours and 30 minutes for this. Andy, I want to start with you. What did you think about Christopher Nolan's Tenet?
I will likely have this lower on the list. I think it's Nolan just so far up his ass with these concepts and getting really deep with the writing and stuff. And it's like towards the end, it starts to become a little bit too much. I thought at points John David Washington's acting, some of his line delivery was a little flatter than I would have preferred, and then in some of it it's really, really good. So it was kind of inconsistent there for me. I guess I want to, obviously I think the closest comparison we can make is to Inception, where Inception is this crazy grand concept, and by the end of it, and a lot of these crazy scenes are supplemented by these awesome visuals, but in here this weird concept with these crazy action scenes are supplemented by backwards explosions, and it's just not as visually stimulating as like with Inception and the rotating hallway and
kaleidoscope stuff that they did.
And the staircase kind of like never ending thing that kind of where Joseph Gordon-Levitt's like holding him over the edge. I liked it, and it still has those really cool, oh shit, that's kind of clever, like, all right, fuck yeah, I can see where this is going, really good job. But then a lot of it, it's like, all right, this reminds me so much of Inception and all the things that we didn't love about Inception, of like, wait, what? Do you know what this is? Of course I do. It's the blah, 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 the blah, 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 because I'm explaining it to the crowd right now watching, you know? It's just a lot of that stuff. I still enjoyed it, but I think it's one of Nolan's weaker movies. I think it needs to be reined back a bit, you know? Like, let's rein it in, Nolan, you know what I mean? But I will say that when it comes to him and Kojima, very similar to me, where I'm still down for y'all to be weird, kind of like, you know, if you
give
want
him
to
the
be weird,
rope, just go.
If you want to be weird, I'm along for the ride, but also tone it down a bit. Bring it back.
Kevin, what do you think?
I love this movie. I enjoyed it so much. I cannot wait to watch it again. It's like, I don't know when, maybe midway through, I was just like, holy shit, this movie is insane. It's doing some stuff, like such weird, crazy, high-level bullshit, like theory shit that's fucking totally works for me. 100%. This is an adventure. And fuck, this movie goes. This movie goes so fucking hard. It just...
Did you understand everything? I'm sorry, Tim. Do you just want our impressions one by one, or can we talk as we go?
I mean, go for it. Whatever you want.
Like, were you like in it the whole time? Did you understand what was happening the whole time, Kev?
I feel like yes, there were moments where the fucking audio mixing, like, you should not have a movie with these level of complex, like, dimensional bullshit, and then have the audio mixed badly again. And it's like, my speaker system is set up so the center speaker is way up, and I still had trouble hearing lines and had to rewind.
I had to put the subtitles on.
Yeah,
I had to put the subtitles on because a lot of the dialogue, he has that problem where everyone talks in those hushed tones, and they're giving you these deep layers of exposition, and it's all stuff that you're like, I'm trying to understand the theoretical stuff behind this, and I really want to, because that's part of the fun of watching a Nolan movie. Like, that was, upon first watch, what I dug about Inception, was that I was like, oh, they're teaching me this world. Of course, the second time I watched it, I was like, I don't like this because it's way too much exposition for this concept that I already understand. But for this, it was like they're talking in hushed tones, and then they have these action sequences where they're saying these incredibly important things, but they're wearing these oxygen masks, and I'm like, Nolan, what is your problem? Why do you keep putting your great actors in masks? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So I literally 30 minutes into this movie, I turned the subtitles on. I was like, I have to, because I want to try to understand.
I almost did
this complex concept of what he's trying to say, because I know Nolan, and there's going to be a deeper meaning somewhere in this. It's a palindrome, Tim. It starts at the beginning and ends at the beginning, or whatever. So by the end of it, I was just like, I think I just don't care. I think by hour 2, I was like, I don't care what's happening anymore. I've given up on trying to figure out the visual cues of like which team's going back and forward and forth, and I just don't care anymore. And to Andy's point, I think that I think all the actors did a great job in the scenes that were well written. But the problem I have with this movie is it doesn't really have a B story so much. And so when they actually got those moments of reprieve and they got to talk to each other or hang out, like there's a great scene where he meets Emily Debicki for the first time in the restaurant, and that's a cool little back and forth. And we allow like John David Washington's like charm to come out a little bit.
Yeah.
And then also like there's moments with him and Robert Pattinson. And by the way, shout out to Robert Pattinson.
He has gone up my list this year.
Huge apology for all the shit I gave him during Twilight,
Batman.
which I'm sure he didn't see because he doesn't care. Very excited for him in the Batman movie. And like everyone out there, all the best friends out there that were like, dude, you got to watch Good Time and give Robert Pattinson another.
Sorry.
You are 100% right. He's
really
a great
mean to
actor. His hair looks fantastic in this as well. And he just has
Dynamite
a
hair
charm to him. So like, I think that the movie was, there's some technical problems with the movie, but I also just think it's just too much. And the gimmick itself, while cool, just didn't at a certain point. I'm like, this is just mentally tiring trying to figure out what's going on with this, as opposed to Inception, where I was like, okay, I'm following along enough, and I understand you have to have this exposition because we're exploring this kind of weird, fun, new idea. In this one, I was like, I guess the bullet goes back into your hand, but you didn't throw the bullet. But I don't understand. You never touched the bullet before, but you can grab the bullet. I don't know.
I feel like Inception to me was all like magic, basically. Where it's like, oh yeah, you're in dreams. They're like the rules are these, but really you can kind of do whatever. Just don't die, because then you might go into hell. But like you won't lose your mind for reals.
Jesus will hate you. Yeah.
And with this, it's like the little hand wavy is like, hey, you think linearly, and that's not what this is about. Like that's why there's someone in the chat was like, oh, when they said like you can't understand it, you just have to feel it. It's just because like the idea
of instinct,
the idea of all this is so different than the way we fundamentally function that like I get that, where it's like, oh yeah, you can't imagine that you already threw it. You just have to know that you did, and it'll go back in your hand.
The interesting thing is there's on the Tenet Reddit, there's a ton of breakdown posts, obviously, and a ton of like people that have seen this movie many more times than we have because it's been out. And there's like an FAQ mega thread of people that are like going through and breaking down and actually using scenes to explain things. And the consensus is this is like the most bulletproof of the Nolan movies in terms of all of it adding up and all of it like of it following its own
science with Kev.
Now Tim,
I'm Kevin.
Fire and thermal stuff, that was totally wrong. Apparently they fucked that up really bad.
What did you say, Andy?
Was it an inverted bullet? It was a useless joke. I didn't need to repeat it. Sorry.
Gotcha.
Okay.
To me, I think that this movie is the most greatest hits of Nolan that we've ever seen. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that this actually is really high on my list. And I can't wait to watch it again at some point to really like in the same way that I couldn't wait to see Inception and understand things. Andy Cortez from Kind of Funny.
I just want to throw in a quick line. I got to assume this is going to be like the Prestige for Greg, where once Greg was kind of done with the review, was like, oh shit, there was a lot more going on that I didn't really see happening that you do need to watch it again for. And I totally agree with you, Tim. I think upon rewatching it, I'll have a greater appreciation for it because I still enjoyed it. I just think I still think it was like a little too much at times.
See, I see it after all these Nolan reviews. After all these Nolan reviews, I was watching. Jesus fucking Christ! I hate fucking Pandemic.
He like froze midway through that sentence.
Continuing what I was saying here is I feel like it's the greatest hits of Nolan things, and I think that is for the most part a good thing. It still has the sound mixing problems, and there is so few scenes that are just characters talking without loud things happening, whether it's music or trains going by or boats speeding or them wearing masks in addition to those things, and that's super bizarre choices. But when it comes to the action scenes and the ideas of all the things going backwards and forwards in time, I disagree with Andy and Nick. I wish they went way further with it. I think that this movie definitely wasn't crazy enough and missed out on going. I wanted even more because we got hints of Kojima's shit. This movie's Metal Gear as fuck, but it doesn't fully commit to me in the way that Inception did of the going the deeper levels, like dream within a dream within a dream. And I'm not just talking about action scenes and looks of it. I'm talking about use of the time, because there's a couple twists, there's a couple moments and reveals of using the shit. When we first see him fighting the guy in the mask, it's obvious he's fighting himself.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that wasn't like the movie's ultimate twist, but we never get an ultimate twist.
It wasn't obvious
really?
to me. Yeah,
It was for me because they do the thing. He did the gun thing already, and so when the gun builds itself back, I was like, "Oh, it's him. That's his move of like taking the slide off of someone's Glock."
Yeah, but isn't that
So
like the cool move for like anyone that's like
but that's
FBI
that's a
or
filmmaker's
CIA?
foreshadowing move. Like he put that in there he showed you him doing that on purpose to foreshadow the fact that they were like, oh, by the way, you didn't see that coming, but your subconscious picked up on it.
See, that was the thing I was going to say earlier, is like that I enjoyed, especially from doing Nolan in review and watching, I think Prestige in particular, where I didn't get a lot of it the first time through. And then we were talking about like, oh, I want to watch it again, even though I thought coming in, I didn't love the movie. Like this time around, I was way more tuned into all of that, where like when the guy's name was Opera spelled backward, I was like, hey, Jen. And then when the woman jumps off, I'm like, that's the same woman. Like it was just that thing of like, I know where this is going. And I'm excited to see that he connects everything.
Yeah.
So the last thing I want to say though about the action scene, about the times going back and forth, is like my favorite part of the movie is like my favorite reveal of the movie wasn't a like mega twist of like who that person's this person, this is a sequel to Inception, any of that type of shit. It was the action scene we see of him fighting himself. And when it's happening, it kind of just feels like weird bullshit of like, why is it sometimes getting a weird when he's fighting the guy like is moving backwards and sometimes it's not? And I was like trying to follow the logic of it. But then when you see it the second time,
So cool.
you see when the inverted version is taking control of the fight, and it's like, fuck, that is so awesome. And it's just like at the end of the day, that's just a little less like super mind-blowingly cool as a concept as much as it's just really fucking dope as a film.
So I'll agree with you. Like I liked that scene the first time, but by the time we got to the other, like the opposite version of it, I was like, are we really going to watch this whole fight scene again? And it's just not, the gimmick itself is just not cool enough to me to watch these ornate like fight scenes over and over and over again. So by the time we get to the end where things are blowing up and reversing and like we see the 15th explosion reverse itself, I'm like, I don't know that I care about these characters that much. And I think it's because this movie is, you're right, it's the most Nolan movie, but it's lacking the one thing that I really appreciated from all the other Nolan movies, which is the heart. I don't care about any of these characters. There's no B story. I don't know why John David Washington desperately wants to save Elizabeth Debicki. He just met her like a day before, and he's a covert CIA agent who's literally willing to kill himself, die himself to save the world. So why would he go above and beyond to save this woman? Now, I'm sure there's someone on Reddit who's like, you don't understand this and this.
I think he like is in love with her, right? I mean,
I don't know, because they never have a scene together where they have a moment where they actually fall in love.
My interpretation, and please feel free to take me out right down if I'm wrong. My interpretation, Kevin, is that he had a connection with her, fell in love with her, and that her son is going to grow up to be Robert Pattinson, right?
Lean.
Yeah.
So that's been debunked.
Really?
Yeah, in the mega thread, and like there's a shit ton of evidence of just the only way that could happen age-wise is if he were to be in inverted time for a ridiculous amount of time.
So that's the other problem.
Yeah,
like,
but I figured
we've been friends for a long time. So I was like, wait a minute. So we've been friends for how long? 5 years? Does that mean you inverted time for 5 years back to this point? And how old are you at this point?
I assume that they're constantly in the future, constantly redoing stuff, constantly going back 2 weeks.
But see,
so that they can change
that begs me
stuff. The
other question, right? Is that, and this is I think where it starts to break my brain, is that there's moments in this movie where they just go, hey man, forget what you know, what happened, right? And they just use that to sort of explain away the fact that sometimes they can go back and change events in the past, and sometimes it's just you can't change anything. So at the very end of the movie, in spoilers, if you listen to this point, I don't know, are we in spoilers or not?
We're always in spoilers.
He goes, hey, I got to go back and open that door, and it's the reveal, which by the way, not a fucking reveal at all, not a shocker. I was like, that's definitely Robert Pattinson died there. He goes, I got to go back and open that gate. And my brain goes, and I know there's going to be someone in the chat that's like, Nick, you don't understand. It's palindrome, yada, yada, yada. But my brain goes, why can't you go with him and help him? Like, if you can keep going back and redoing these things, like if he's already going back into the field after all this stuff has happened, how come we can't constantly redo this? And if that's the case, how come those people didn't tell Sador, or what was it? That was his name,
Sador,
right? Yeah. That you die. Hey, God, by the way, you disappear on this day. Something happened to you. So FYI, I have a couple guns around you.
The whole thing was to trick Sador. Like the whole movie's purpose is to trick Sador into thinking that he succeeded, because that explosion that happens, like he has to know that it happens, or else he would think something went wrong and he failed.
But he doesn't
wouldn't
know
have killed himself. He does.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Remember, that's how he's introduced to us. Is that he came from Michael Caine introduces it, right? Of like he came from this little fucking shit numbered town that didn't matter and had been off the books forever, and then 14 days ago there was an explosion there out of nowhere.
The same day that
Like
the
that-
opera thing was happening.
Yeah.
So they changed it.
No, they didn't change
Well, they
it.
masked it.
It's all a giant loop. Where
I see. So the explosion happens, but they got the thing out of the explosion. Got
Yeah,
it. Okay.
yeah,
that makes sense.
I can already tell this movie is going to become cooler for me as we do this.
But I mean,
But is
so,
it because
wait,
so
real quick.
here's my other question. I just have a ton of questions.
No,
Go ahead.
Yeah, let's
real
go.
quick. Just
Great.
let me throw in something. So by the end of the movie, what's the main dude? The
Protagonist?
The protagonist, yeah.
The protagonist.
Which is so cool. No, it's
Yeah,
so
it is.
It's so
It's so
douchey
pretentious.
but it
so fucking
works.
pretentious.
Like he's not trying to hide the pretentiousness. He made the protagonist name protagonist.
It does.
and
he
they
calls
have-
himself the protagonist.
I know,
because
that's the funniest thing.
This character is supposed to be some like weird avatar, but I needed to care about him, and after I needed to care about what was going on with her
sorry.
and him and all these things, and I just didn't.
Let me just so at the end
Well,
of the
Andy
movie,
had his hand up. Andy, what do you have to say?
Nick interrupted me.
Well, you know what? Now you're being interrupted. Now talk backwards and you can go back in time and do it.
The protagonist at the end of the movie has gone back in time 2 weeks, and it's like it's one of those things that's tricky to realize when it happens, but through the duration of the whole movie, he's gone back in 2 weeks, and I think that they're doing that enough in the future that like whatever weird Robert Pattinson has gone back something like 10 years. Also, we don't know what the effects of aging are in the inverse
on
time.
the reversing. That's
Yeah,
fair.
when you're in inverse
but-
time. So he might even
but
be
there's
older.
There's that moment though where he's like, "We've had a lot of good times together. I'll see you later," and we're gonna have them again. And it was like, you know what it smacks? It's like that scene in freaking Clone Wars where Anakin and Obi-Wan are in the elevator. They're like, "I saved your butt the other day. I know you saved my butt the other day, but you telling me you guys have had great times
I
doesn't
feel
really
like I
doesn't
feel
do
like
anything for me."
That's so not
I
true.
felt
Andy
it,
from Kind of
dude.
Funny.
Yeah, I disagree with Nick there. But really quick, I thought him being called the protagonist was going to lead to a bigger reveal. I thought subtitles were just calling him that for the time being,
Right.
because at the
No.
end we were gonna find out he was really fucking Tenet. I don't know. Like I,
But
I
see,
just-
I-
yeah.
I thought
Well, yeah,
I
that's
thought the
what we found out.
protagonist was like
That-
a
that does
code
happen,
name
I
in
guess,
their
yeah.
world.
that does end up happening, yeah. But I thought like they were calling him protagonist only for the purpose of a bigger reveal at the end or whatever. But
There was
like,
that,
but still towards the end, he's like talking to the lady. He's like, "I'm the protagonist of this story" or whatever. And I was like, fuck. I don't know.
For me, it was like I thought they were going to go someplace with like, you know, like in Ocean's 11, where they all had code names for the guys that were doing everything, and that had a purpose in the movie because you had those code names because you're criminals, because you don't want the cops to understand what you're talking about. I thought it was going to be like that, where like a protagonist was a position in Tenet, where like you are the leader, you are whatever, and they just never said that. So it was just, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, because they do
named the
mention
character that.
antagonists a bunch there too when they're doing like the briefing.
Yeah,
and
so
I was like, is this going to play into how this works or whatever?
I thought it was going to be like, I thought that was going to be code for something. And then I would have liked to have had a better reveal of him working for himself, because I thought that was a cool concept, but I needed there to be like a moment where, I don't know, it was explained away in a line of exposition. I was like, oh man, that's a really cool reveal. We couldn't have figured out a better way to do that. Like Robert Pattinson literally kind of has a throwaway line where he's like, you haven't figured it out yet? And then I go, no, I haven't figured it out yet, Robert Pattinson, because the other cardinal sin that you guys do in this movie is that characters purposely withhold information from each other for no reason whatsoever.
No, but
They
there's
can't
no
change
there's,
it.
it's always a
No,
reason.
yeah, the reason is you can't, like, you're not supposed the rules of Tenet, the group, is like, don't give anyone information that you don't need to give them. Like, that's
Right.
basically
But
their
then
only
who
rule.
gets to decide this? Because if that's fine, I guess. That's okay. But it's not great for storytelling, because you just have characters that go, I'm not going to tell you that. And then 30 minutes later, they end up telling him that.
But, like,
and
how
it
cool
comes out
was
to
it-
me as an audience member that you just couldn't really, you just wanted to move the story along so we can get to the action set pieces. And so you have these things thrown in there where you're like, I'm not going to tell you yet. And then an hour later, I'm going to tell you. Like the whole arms dealer thing. I'm like, wait, why are they just homies now? He killed one of their people. Like this arms dealer woman is just totally okay. And she's like, I'm going to give you a little bit of information now, but then I'm going to give you a little bit of information later. And like, I don't know. I don't like story that unfolds that way, because it just feels kind of cheap.
Yeah, but what is it? Like, someone said this here. Yeah, the ignorance is their ammunition is such a cool thing of like, if we don't write it down, if we don't keep it, the future can't get their hands on it. Like, that's so cool.
That's really
Yeah,
very
I
cool.
normally don't like the exposition kind of like just being the thing that moves the plot forward for things, but I think that in this movie, like that is the point, and I think that it is all of the thing, not knowing things and not saying things, and then saying them at the right time, revealing them at the right time, because they're all in this together, and they're all in, and the main characters we're talking about that are withholding information are all in the know about the inversion stuff. So it's like the more we find out as an audience member is because the protagonist is finding out in this loop that he's going through. Andy.
Towards the very, very end, though, this is where it all sort of got even more jumbled than it already could have been, where the final sequence is happening, the Russian dudes trying to do the bomb thing or whatever, and they all escape safely or whatever. And then one of them is Aaron fucking
Aaron
Johnson.
Taylor
What's his name? Aaron
Aaron
Taylor Johnson.
Aaron Ryan Johnson.
And one of them is Aaron Taylor Johnson. I'm like, oh fuck, I didn't know he like I don't know. It didn't occur to me that he was down there. Every time I saw a white dude, I was like, oh, Robert Pattinson.
Well, it's because
No, he
they
got
don't do a
knocked
great
out.
job of telling you who's in Tenet and what the hell's going on. And that was another one of
Yeah.
my issues where I was like, he just gets recruited for this organization, has no idea what's happening, and is told by someone who's never met that you have to go do this thing.
But they
I'd
all
be
do
like,
the,
who the
don't they
fuck
all do
are
the
you
thing when they
people?
meet? Everyone that's in
Yeah, but
Tenet
somebody
finds a
told him to
cool
do
way
that.
to
Like,
do
how did
that.
he not? How did he know who the first guy was? This guy's like, hey, you passed the test. I'd be like, who the fuck are you? Where am I? Where's my handler? Where's the CIA? Where's my government? What's going on? Why the fuck am I just on this path? I don't know. This is where my
Instinct.
brain
I mean,
starts.
It's
yeah,
instinct.
but that was his moment
Sure.
of choice, though, right?
Explain
Like,
it away.
he could have been like, "Give me all these answers." No, he did, and the guy was like, "I can't give you any more answers. All I can
Right.
give you
So he's like, okay,
is a
I'll go do this
choice,
thing.
a gesture, and a word." You know? Ugh, that sounds so
Sure.
cool.
Sometimes
cool,
they
but
open
it's-
wrong doors.
Yeah.
Weird. And then here's the other big question I have. So they just randomly introduced this moment where they divine from, I guess, the future. I don't know, that Sator's fucking Fitbit actually is like if he dies, it'll send a signal to the bomb to explode and tear everything time apart or whatever in reverse time or whatever. How do they know that? A, and B, doesn't she kill him before they get that thing out? Before they can disassemble the algorithm? Like well before that? So why didn't time reverse itself and destroy the world?
She kills him 7 seconds before it all goes off. So it just seems like there was a delay in the system that he didn't account for, right?
See, that's-
because they pull him out just in time.
I don't know, but that's an answer. That's a question that should be answered. And I thought that whole scene was just like, I like, good on you. I like, this is cool. She finally gets her revenge on this guy. And like when she pushes him off the boat, I was like, that's
Yeah.
fucking weird. That whole scene was so weird to me. I'm like, you wouldn't
him
know.
hitting
They
the
have-
middle.
They literally have a line where he's like, bring my wife back. And then the guy calls from the shore and says, or bring my son back. And the guy calls from the shore and says, your son's with your wife. And then Elizabeth Debicki's character goes, oh, well, I look like Anna. And this guy who is a multi-billionaire supervillain's like, yeah, I guess that's just a mistake.
But
Chalk
again,
that up.
remember he's there to kill himself. This day's played out before. Like it doesn't seem out of the ordinary.
Right, but
Sorry,
yeah,
Tim
I
Gettys
think
from
out of the
CounterPlay.com.
ordinary because somebody's trying to stop him from killing himself.
So-
And so he has all of this information. I'd be like, oh, you're not my wife. You're someone from the future. This is different. What's happening?
But
write a fucking
his
note
wa-
down to myself and send it to the future.
But that woman in his mind is dead. He thought he killed her the day before.
Yeah.
When he shot her in the side.
The gut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I need to watch this movie again, but from my understanding,
Fucking
there
love
were
this
2
movie.
Sators and 2 of his wives in that moment.
Yes.
Because she
Correct.
sees herself jump off, right?
Yeah.
So it's like that also I think
Which is a
implies
cool
that
reveal.
like,
Yeah.
but that he is in a loop himself where
Yeah, this is
but the him that died, the 7 seconds almost doesn't even fucking matter because it wasn't the right him. Because like
Yeah.
he was destined to keep going
Ooh,
anyway.
yeah, that's right. So
great point.
because there's 2 of those watches in that world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great point. That's a
There's
great point. Yeah.
let me just say there's no cooler fucking moment than obviously they sort of hint to you that you have to see yourself walk into the thing to know that you're going to come out or whatever. And when John David Washington is fighting himself in the suit and he looks and he sees himself and he comes out, you're like, he was the other guy running forward, dude. And Robert Pattinson, he ripped the mask off. Oh, but he's in forward time now, so it doesn't matter. That was the coolest fucking part.
Yeah,
So
that was
fucking
just
cool.
like,
Also,
all
the
right,
idea.
like there's a lot of like weird bullshit in this movie, and obviously you all are already doing a great job of explaining the weird bullshit for me that I thought was weird bullshit that's starting to make a lot more sense. But still, that moment is like, all right, this is worth it. This is like, Christopher Nolan, you're a wacky dude, you're a wacky bro, but I'm cool with it now. I'm cool with it.
Andy, the idea that Arpat pulls the helmet off, sees his mentor, and knows like, oh, all right. Like, it makes so
We're
much
good.
sense why he immediately
Yeah.
turns around and he's like, I'm going to go make sure he doesn't kill the other one because that's him.
Yeah,
Ah.
and then John David watched it. No. But when that happens, he's like, "Oh, what happened to the other guy?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah,
I
he
took
got
care of
away. Yeah, I took care of it." And I was like, "Wait, Arpats, what are you up to, bro?"
Yeah.
And, like,
yeah,
what are you up
yeah.
to?
It's just cool, man.
One more thing that I want to throw out there that someone in the chat just said right here. We were talking about the dealer, the gun dealer, and why was she like not super mad at him?
Yeah.
Now
She's in Tenet.
yes.
Go ahead.
Is
Sorry.
she?
Yeah. Because the day before, like, so
What is Tenet? Who's in this organization?
2 days.
Is everyone in
before-
Tenet? Am I in Tenet? Did I not know?
2
All
days.
You
the
will
people
be.
withholding
You will be.
information.
So 2
I
days
hate that, though.
before.
I just feel
Stop,
like that's
Nick.
so
I'm trying to
cheap.
talk. 2 days before they go and break into her house, he meets her in like the park or wherever the fuck she is walking, and that's when she's met him before. So she already knows him when he meets her for the first time in his linear time. Fucking wild. This movie.
Yeah, that is a good point.
That's cool.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
cool.
But like, if that's the case, then why did she let him go like through the whole rigmarole of like interrogating her husband? Why wasn't she like, stop, let's just talk this out right now? I also
mean-
still, you kill one of my guys, and why? I don't know.
But like she
There's a lot. I
kind
mean,
of
I
she
get-
did. It, like there wasn't a huge reaction. She played the role.
What?
Well, she didn't react like she'd met him before at all.
Well, again, but
that
ignorance
first
is the
scene, yeah,
weapon,
they-
right?
Yeah.
So like until he gives the signal, she can't. Like even though you're the same person, you might not be on the same part of your journey. So what if he was infiltrating and he didn't know about Tenet yet, and then he's not supposed to know about Tenet yet, so you can't tell him something. Once he gives you the sign, then you know you're on the same page. Now we can have a real conversation.
Interesting.
I think there's like, I think everyone in Tenet believes that you have to follow the path the way it's gone already. But I don't
Right,
think
but
that the
what happened
protagonist, I don't think the protagonist does. And I think that's the difference. And
That's him
why
learning.
he's
He
the
learns
protagonist.
this entire movie,
Yeah.
right? Like when we get to that end, like I think I haven't chimed in on performances or anything. I think John David Washington's phenomenal in this movie. And when we get to the end, when he's talking to Robert Pattinson and he knows Pattinson's about to go die, you can see it in him, the emotion of not
Yeah.
wanting him to go, but still trying and like fighting himself as he again finally accepts the lesson of like, no, you got to, like, this is whatever's happened, and I need to go do this. And we're going to become friends in the future. Because this is like a Kyle Reese situation, right?
Yeah.
Where John David Washington's going to continue his timeline and now meet Robert Pattinson for the first time in Pattinson's timeline, even though he'll eventually come back and live that life that way.
But isn't he changing the future by giving the woman the phone and being like, call me when you think something bad's going to happen?
I don't know, because that's
Whatever's
the
happened,
question I
happened.
have is they say whatever happens, happens. So I guess you can go back and change some stuff, but some stuff you can't change. But that doesn't make sense to me because like at some point, then wouldn't the people in the future just be like, well, we give up because what's happened, right? We just know that we're never going to reverse this time thing because it's never going to happen. Shouldn't they know that? They're in the future.
But you have to
Don't they
imagine.
Why isn't
that?
it? Sorry, go ahead.
You go ahead, you go
before
ahead.
I kick it to you, Kev. My interpretation was that the future people have a distinct. They do not believe in the ideology of whatever happened. They're working against that. It's
Right.
the Tenet people who are whatever happened, and we can't fuck with that.
See, I think this is just like this is where my brain starts breaking with time travel stuff, with all this stuff, is because I don't know, like, and I guess this is where my frustration comes with a lot of this is he leaves it purposely nebulous because you're supposed to be able to figure out that all this stuff is sort of intertwined and exactly doing what Kevin's doing. But then I just don't know if any of the actions of any of these characters matter because when they keep saying what's happened, I'm like, well, then what is relevant? What is the protagonist that we're on this journey with? What is he actually changing? What is he accomplishing? Or are we just watching this thing play out? And if that's the case, then after 2 hours of explosions going back and forth, I'm like, I'm just kind of bored.
But like, just because what happened already happened doesn't mean, like, I mean, we still get to watch it happen and see the path in a linear way that is all loopy and
Yes,
you know what I mean?
but we're told like, hey, you have to save the world. But if he's already if what's happened, then he's already saved the world. So he doesn't really have to save it. We don't really need to go on
yeah,
that ride
but you
with
don't
him.
know if that plan works.
I think some of the, by the way, I think I'm kind of being negative on the movie. I think a lot of the action sequences were phenomenal
Fucking
in this.
phenomenal.
And I enjoyed those moments, but I couldn't help but feel like he had those moments planned and was like, how do we get these characters from point A to point B? And so I think he does the Nolan thing where and I guess he has a lot of this planned. I'm sure he has a giant whiteboard that Tim's going to get to or show a picture of. but I can't help but feel like there's moments where they just have to write scenes to explain the fact that they wrote themselves into corners with certain things. And I think that a lot of this movie smacks with, hey, we really want to get to this cool moment where like this pincer move is happening and we're seeing this in full fun. So how do we get to there? And I think it's unfortunately at the expense of the heart. By the end of this, Greg, I agree with you. They have that one great scene, but the rest of the time, he was directed to be very staccato with his performance and very much like almost like a David Mamet story where he's just kind of like one note. And it sucks because we don't have the heart that we had. We weren't emotionally invested in that character like we were with Leonardo DiCaprio's character, where he finally gets to see his kids again because the thematic relevance of the B story in Inception plays into the A story nicely. In this one, there is no real B story. So at the end, I'm like, I don't really know who this character is. I don't know if any of his actions matter. And I don't really know what his relationship is to any of these people. And I just don't care.
I feel like the only relationship we come to understand that he has is with Neil. And
but the one we should really understand, the one we should sympathize with the most is his relationship with Elizabeth Debicki's character, Kat. I mean, like that is for some reason that is unbeknownst to any of us, he really wants to save her and her child.
Doesn't he feel that he pulled them into this though? Like, isn't that the idea? Like he's
a CIA operative and it's the fate of the world. Greg, no disrespect, but like everyone's sitting here. If you were like, Nick, you're tasked with saving time as we know it. And Andy's like, bro, I got me and my dog have to survive. I'm like, Andy, you're dead.
You'd take the child hostage? You'd take the woman hostage?
I wouldn't give a shit. I would have just killed the fucking Russian guy. Yeah. Like, and by the way,
I don't know.
I think everyone did a great job in this movie, but I just think Kenneth Branagh as a Russian was way over. It was way too extra in all these scenes.
He was Estonian, right?
Is it a fact? I don't know. Nick's got fact on 10 and no.
Kev, can you please bring up the whiteboard picture? Not the one that Nick's expecting, but yes, thank you. Kenneth Branagh did his speaking in reverse. He actually did it. So in that scene where we're seeing all the stuff, it wasn't just like played backwards. Like he actually had to perform it to get it right.
Didn't a lot of them?
Yeah, all of them did. But
when you watch someone walk and they clearly originally did this backwards, I'm like, oh, they ain't walking right. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm talking just all the speaking lines. Anytime they're speaking backwards, they're actually doing the sounds of what it sounds like backwards. But what made it difficult for Kenneth is that he had to do it with a Russian accent. So these are his notes that he took for doing that to get it right, to sound like his character forwards but backwards.
That's wild.
I thought it worked. I thought it worked.
Yeah,
for me. I was gonna say, not that impressive because we've already seen this before. Okay, Weird Al Yankovic did it in his video for Amish Paradise. Okay, he did everything backwards, and it was so impressive. And you see it forwards, you're like, wow, this is all done backwards. So like, all right, Christopher Nolan, take a fucking seat in the back seat. Weird Al Yankovic, write a movie about.
Yeah, I mean, he already did it. You know, what's the point? Like, chill out.
Yeah.
And then, Kev, can you bring up the other image that I sent you?
The square?
Yes, please. So this is called the Sator/Rota square. It's a word square containing a 5-word Latin palindrome. It features in both early Christian and in magical contexts. The earliest example of the square dates from the ruins of Pompeii, which some scholars attribute to pre-Christian origins, such as Jewish or Mithric. In the film, each of the words of the square correspond to a plot point. Sator being Andre Sator, Arepo, as in Thomas Arepo, the forger of the Goya painting, Tenet relating to the organization of the film title, Opera referring to the opening siege, and Rotas correlating to the security company at the Freeport in Oslo. And the rotation of the turnstiles that either invert or uninvert people and places.
This thing is fucking insane, and also it's really stupid.
Science with Kev. History with
crazy.
Kev.
If you look
at history with
Kev.
Kevin society.
Kevin digging it up, being like, "This is stupid."
But like, yeah, if you look, it's like, yeah, the words are flipped, and then if you look down, they also are the same words flip, and it's fucking wild. But one of these words is not a real word, and that's fucking cheating. If you
Arepo?
Yeah, Arepo is not a word.
It's gotta be something.
Farmer works hard the wheel.
Were they words in Latin?
Yeah, they're words in Latin. Arepo is not a word.
Hold on. Kevin,
wait, why did you say the farmer? What?
What?
Oh, you just unlock some fucking code.
No,
what about the farmer?
The phrase. It's the satyr means the cedar or farmer. Arepo is not a fucking word. It's just a name they think, but it's not like a name that was broadly used. So that's the fake fucking word. Tenant. Wait, the farmer works. I can't remember a tenant
right now.
Huh?
I don't. I'm so confused by what's happening right now.
So these are all words in Latin except for the second word, arepo.
But Kevin, are
As
you doing
far-
like the please excuse my dear Aunt
No,
Sally
no,
thing
I'm
with
trying to
this right
remember.
now?
I'm trying to remember what the phrase was that it means. And like you can look up the words individually, but then you like that doesn't really work that way
My
because of grammar.
very educated aunt, or
Because it's the farmer works hard or some shit like that.
My very educated aunt is what you jumped
it was
to.
mom. It was mom.
Yeah.
Mars.
What planet are you
Farmo
thinking of?
Arepo works
No, because
tends the wheel hard or something like that. Is what
Greg,
what this
Interesting.
A repo,
Yeah.
trying to get a repo in there.
Greg, my dear Aunt Sally, and like please
Gotcha.
excuse my PEMDAS.
Makes
You know,
sense.
I had the aunt in the wrong, saying in the wrong phrase.
And then
Sorry.
one of the other
Wait,
like
real
last
quick,
weird
isn't
facts I
that-
have.
isn't this bullshit? Like you can't just put make up a name to make it work. You can't be like,
Yeah.
oh, I have 4 words that work. Ooh, what if I put one in there and it's this word because that would work? Get the fuck out of here, you cheaters.
Yeah. No, you're right, Kevin. You're right about that. This movie's full of palindromes in a bunch of different ways, whether it's like the plot and all this stuff, and obviously Tenet, blah blah blah. But there's like just a lot of fun, like dumb Easter eggy things, and there's just 2 that I just need to bring up because they're so fucking stupid. One, what type of plane did they crash?
47,
It was-
47.
747. Yeah.
Oh,
And
God.
what was John David Washington doing? A lot in this movie.
Pull-ups.
Yeah. If you take the S off the end of that,
Pull-ups.
guess what? Pull up's a fucking palindrome.
That's pretty funny.
This is the shit
Wow.
that, I mean, you guys are giving him too much damn credit to this,
So-
man.
No, it's just some fun shit.
One of the things that are supporting the Max being Neil is that the Maximilian in French ends with Neil. If you flip it,
Yeah.
it ends with Lein, and then so
The
you
thing
flip
that-
it.
The thing is that Nick calls him sups though, so
And
it's like
yeah.
pus
Yeah.
the other way.
Shit.
It's spus the other way.
Sputs. Yeah.
Let's get
Doesn't work.
to some semblance of plot.
Oh no.
Blah. Go ahead, Nick.
Plop, plop, plop. Well, I'm doing plot.
Oh wait,
No, it's a
what?
great show.
This is Greg.
Oh, we're doing a plot still?
I mean, hey, I don't make
All
rules.
right,
You
so
know what?
there's an
I'll give you a
opera.
second. I'll give you a second because while you think about some shit,
I gotta go get an Advil. I have a headache while you do this.
that's all I got for you.
Thank you, Manscaped. Thank you for supporting the show.
Mm-hmm.
So we start off in an opera, everybody. And let me just
Mhm.
say that this opening sequence just feels cool. It's shot great.
It is
It gave me
has-
mad Dark Knight vibes.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
the way they
Same
were
with
all
music.
running in, I was like, "Oh, I'm into this movie already."
and
Let's go."
and it's sort of like it this is again comparing the Nolan to Kojima. You know, Kojima always has the behind the soldier with the guns and doing the hand signal stuff. I had the same vibes here where it's like, oh, this is a Nolan sort of action insurgent scene, or what's the word I'm
Mhm.
looking for? Just like soldiers breaking into a thing. This is how Nolan does it.
Yeah.
And I just love the way it looks. It's always so visually interesting because the camera movement, the shots, obviously there's people in danger. And from here on out, I don't understand what the fuck is happening. What are these bombs? I'm so confused with everything here. But to me, I'm like, I'm supposed to be confused, Andy. You're not just stupid. You're really
Yeah,
stupid,
for
but
sure.
like you're supposed to be confused. Right here.
Somebody got
I've
caught.
seen this scene before because this scene played before Star Wars Episode 9. If you watched it in IMAX,
Oh, no.
Oh,
Oh, interesting.
which me and Gia did, and this just played after the trailers played, and then this scene just started. We didn't know what it was, and it played out for 5 minutes till he like gets in the car, like when he's leaving, and it just goes boom, Tenet. And I was like, what the
tight.
fuck? That looks insane.
I remember
And
you
then there was
mentioning this.
no evidence of anyone having that experience, but it happened.
I remember us talking about Star Wars and Tim being like, "Was I the only person who saw this?" Yeah,
Anyway,
Greg,
dope as
I already introed the plot, Greg. We already went through the whole plot, but I talked about how this whole scene is just shot really cool, and it reminds me of the way Kojima does his sort of action break-in scenes with soldiers and stuff. It's just
Sure.
really, really well done. And again, I don't understand what's happening with these bombs. I don't know who they're protecting. I don't know who the bad guys are. I was thoroughly confused by most of this scene, and I think you're supposed to feel that way, but I could be dumb.
were the
And I am.
bad
Right, because
guys?
this is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask. The bad guys were what's his face? This is Sator's men, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think that's where this all starts, right? Because
Mhm.
so yeah, we're in the you already did the opera. We're already through the opera. We're done with the opera.
Yeah, I mean we
Explosions and
talked
shit
about it.
happen.
We went
I was
way
trying-
I
on
don't
the
understand
surface.
what the fuck's happening, right?
Yeah,
Nobody
it's all
does. Yeah,
confusing.
reverse bullet. They're getting stuff or whatever. But stick with me here because like this is a movie I feel as we've learned or as personally I learned on Nolan in review this time around. And as I try to throw up assets to see how we rank them, I don't see assets easy. I think with Prestige it was that idea of like, oh shit, like I'd like to watch that again to understand it. And as I look over here, yeah, well with Prestige and Dunkirk. Those are the only ones I had that I wasn't seeing for the second or third time, right? So I didn't know what was going on. I feel like doing anything with this movie, well, we need to, and obviously in review and get it ranked here. This is one of the things I'm the most interested to go back and watch again because I want to see this scene happen. And even last night when I was pouring my water before I went to bed, right, I was thinking like, wait, so like from this scene when he gets captured, right, and he's on the train tracks being tortured and they tear out his teeth and shit like that, right? Remember how the one guy, and this is all very loose, I need your help with it, but the one guy's like, yeah, most people can last 18 hours. This guy only lasted 18 minutes, and you're really close to your deadline or whatever, and that guy's already dead there. They take the suicide pill off of John David, the protagonist, and then he sees the guy who's already supposed to be dead start moving and fingering out the pill to him, right?
Yeah.
So was it that guy he's inversed? Was he inversed in that
No.
he started dead and then went alive or
I thought
something
that was
like
just
that?
his pill, and he didn't get a chance to take it, so he was.
So it's just his hand
Yeah.
unwrapping at the perfect moment.
I don't think he was dead. I
No, he
think he was like
alive.
on the edge of dead, and he thought I can give this guy
At least save
a
him.
release. Yeah. Like
So
'Cause-
I see.
sorry, the first guy that was on the ground didn't have any information. Like
Yeah.
The protagonist actually had information that he was withholding.
So I see Beasinal in chat say, I didn't catch Pattinson that saved him here the first time that they watched. And I'm assuming
Yeah,
you're
'cause
talking
he got
about
the-
in the
he had the
opera
red
scene.
thing.
I didn't catch that either.
I didn't either
Um,
for sure.
and I
No,
think
he had the little red.
Yeah, he had the red
little
thing.
on the back of his
That was
backpack.
the ending reveal.
Yeah, gotcha.
'Cause, yeah.
Okay.
Well, to me, the ending reveal was that he for sure is the guy who died at the door. I didn't remember the red string
Oh,
from
yeah,
the very,
okay.
very beginning of the
Yeah.
movie. That's I think you know what I mean.
They focus on it quite a bit in the beginning of the movie.
Got it. Okay.
The red string.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's definitely a moment where it, like punches into just that. It's like, oh, that's important.
Yeah,
Okay.
cool.
Then
And
yeah,
we're sure. I thought for sure
that.
I thought for sure on a second watch then that fucking red string would be on the little boy's backpack at the end. It's not. That
Yeah,
fucking sucks.
no, it's not,
That's
yeah.
dumb.
But I mean, that's the thing. Like, Nolan likes to leave things extremely vague, right? He doesn't even want to leave it hinting, even though we all know that fucking spinning top was about to tip over.
It was about to tip over for
So
sure.
then we get this
Thank you,
guy.
buddy.
They get a little boat
you.
and they put him into one of the windmills. And I was just like, so
After they
taken aback
rebuilt
by
all his
this.
teeth.
Yeah. Well, I'm just like, I would hate this. Like, I would hate just being in this thing. Like I'm not that claustrophobic. I felt claustrophobic about it all.
I mean, shout out to him though. He does the cool thing where he's like, I really need these pull-ups to like matter. So he climbs
Yeah.
to like the top
All
of
the
the
way up.
ladder.
Yeah. Jen
just
was like,
does it
"Why
up
would
there.
you
I'm like,
do that?" I'm like, "For the
'cause-
adrenaline.
Because
You
it gives you
can't
you're
fail."
like, yeah, I can't
Snake
fail.
eater playing.
Yeah,
I think, and by the
yeah.
way, I think so. I think that the physicality of John David Washington in this movie when he does the fight scenes is like
Dude,
unbelievably good. So like, there's that I think everything he does in the opera house, like his choreography and how he moves, is awesome. And then we have that scene we're going to get to eventually in the kitchen where
So
he
good.
wrecks those guys, and I'm like,
Dude,
whoa,
that was
he's on some
amazing. You know that I don't
next
give a
level
shit about
shit.
action ever, and he looked so fucking
He looked
cool.
great.
And I
Yeah.
loved it that he was never even when I was like, oh, they're gonna get him, and I wonder how. And it's like, no, he's fucking faking it, and just takes them all out, destroys them. Amazing. And then the
Yeah.
fucking cowardly driver peels out when he realizes
Yeah.
it's not going the right way.
The speed of which that he attacks people really reminds me of sort of the ferocity that Bane showcased
Yep,
in Dark Knight
100%.
in Dark Knight Rises, and even where did my mind go with it? Like Henry Cavill in Fallout, Mission Impossible Fallout. Like just those hard, fast punches. I just thought it was choreographed so brilliantly in
Yeah.
that kitchen scene. It was so good.
There's-
Now I just want a movie where Christopher Nolan makes a movie where it's like secret operatives and stuff. Hear me out, guys.
I'm
John
listening.
David Washington, Oscar Isaac, Michael B. Jordan.
Josh
Trio.
Gad.
They're a trio.
Can we put
Josh
Robert
Gad's
Pattinson back
there
in there too?
Okay, Robert Pattinson's back in, and
Yeah,
also Zac Efron,
no-
just because I miss Zac Efron being.
Nothing
in stuff.
screams secret agent, like super cool secret agent.
We're
more
making a
than
Nolan
Josh
comedy,
Gad.
right? I thought we were making a Nolan comedy. I thought we were going that way with it. So, anyways,
it's Metal Gear Solid. I love it.
so like it's shift change at the old windmill or whatever, the old oil rig, and he comes off and seamlessly transitions onto the boat, and then seamlessly transitions off. And right as he walks by this car, a guy gets out of the car and he climbs in the car, and then it's right on the GPS where
That's
to go, and he
tight.
fucking goes, fucking dope as hell, right?
Yeah.
And so he goes there with his clipboard and his little vest, and he goes deep into it. And then he gets past everybody. And then the one lab lady's like, with a vest and a clipboard, you can get almost anywhere. And then she opens it up to get him in there and starts explaining what the fuck's going on. Did she do that? I didn't know. Obviously, I
He
didn't know
says he
yet.
did it to her.
He said the word Tenet, right?
Yeah, he's like, that's not one of my tenants or something like that. And then he grabbed his hands together very
And she
lightly,
was
and it
like,
was just like,
She was like, "I'm with you, bro.
Damn.
I'm with you."
Do you think she's
Oh,
the
because
lady
did
that
we
figures-
skip? We already skipped. Did we already skip Michael Caine? No, we didn't see Michael Caine yet.
I think he goes to Michael Caine after this, right?
Mhm.
'Cause she's
No.
When does he
like,
learn about the Tenet thing? Doesn't he learn about the? When does he learn
Yeah,
about that?
you
He
skipped
learned
that.
about it on the
guy
boat.
teaches him.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
That's the guy who
You're
gives
right.
him the
Thank you very
mission.
much. Thank you. Sorry. Well, we're jumping around too much. Nick already wants to talk about the kitchen. I'm lost on where we are.
There's a theory. There's a theory that this woman is the one that develops the mechanism. What is it? The
That's like
algorithm.
Oppenheimer.
Yeah, the Oppenheimer of the future.
I thought she was gonna pop up again and blah, I'm the villain. Everybody, I thought that was gonna happen. Like, but it didn't.
So
It
yeah,
turns out her and Michael Caine got one scene. That was pretty much it. They were like, Mike, how
all
long
I
do we
need.
have you for? He's like, we have me for lunch, and you have
He's
to.
like, I've got 2 years left. Make it work.
So they were like, yeah, get him a burger. Let's shoot the scene real quick. Let's go.
So she teaches them, and they drop bullets, and bullets jump back in their hand, and they're having a great time shooting a rock, but really the rock's shooting at them. And he's like, "Why does it feel weird?" And she's like, "Cause the fucking bullet's coming back at you, you moron." He's like, "Oh shit, all right, fuck, cool." And so yeah, she tells him somehow to go talk to Michael Caine, right? Or no, she tells him that that the metals, or no, the gun, the bullet, the ammunition came out of India or some shit. So they got to go talk to these people in India who are arms dealers. So
Which
he
I'm
goes
gonna say,
there.
One of my least favorite plot points. You guys know on an interview, I hate when we look at TVs playing news for characters to learn shit. I hate, how are they going to find the thing? Well, we know where the bullet's from. It has to be from this place. It's like, it's a little played out at this point. It was cool at one point.
Batman v Superman, it was cool.
I thought it was cool because it was him. He was like, "Hey, what's the composition of the bullets?" And she was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, we can. If we know where the like dirt's from, we can figure out where the bullets came from." And it's like, all right, that's like that was him giving her information. It wasn't the science lady telling him what's up.
Science with the lady. Science with
Science,
lady.
science.
I said it
with the
wasn't. It
lady.
wasn't the science
I'm a
lady.
lady.
It was science with the protagonist.
But it's still science with her.
I just wanted to sing the song, Kev. Yeah.
You
Can we
got
have
it.
a fun time? I've been looking at the comments. Everybody says, "Where are the 15 podcasts within a podcast?"
No one
That's
said
what
that.
this show needs. No, they didn't say that at all. So yeah, from here we go to India, right? And this is where we meet Robert Pattinson, aka Neil, who's dope as hell. He drinks on the job, or he drinks, but John David Washington won't drink. And he's like, "Ha, mate, cheerio." And then he's like, "All right, how are we gonna get in there?" And they start running through. He parachuting, and he broke his leg training to parachute. But now what if we bungee jump? What do you mean bungee jump? I mean bungee jump up the side of the building, motherfucker.
Sorry. Just to go
In
back, I
reverse.
love that scene where he was like, he orders him a Diet Coke, and he goes, how do you know I don't? He's like, I do my research. He's like, yeah, but I like soda water. He goes, no, you
No, you
don't.
Oh,
Fuck
so
yeah.
Diet
good.
Coke. And I was like,
And
God damn it,
again-
I like Diet Coke too. Let's get in. We're in.
It could be you.
Now
That could
when
be
you're
you.
when you're thinking about the fact that like he knows
They're
this
friends.
fucking guy.
You guys
They're
would
friend-
know
yeah.
if any of you sat with me, you'd be like, get Nick a Diet Coke.
And
I'm
it's
like,
so cool because
Dude,
when
we
he
should
first,
do that. Let's time travel back to Riverside and get Nick a Diet Coke and see
no,
what
if you
No,
went back
Fat
to
Nick-
Riverside, I was
Fat
like,
Nick
it would have to be regular
Nick would
Coke.
be like, I like Fanta, dude, and we're like, no, you don't, dude. He's like, you're right, I don't. I don't like
You're
Fanta.
right.
Come on over. My mom made a 7-layer dip.
So you guys fucking love it.
So they bungee jump up the side of the building and just fucking take people out. So pop,
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
Fucking awesome. I love it. Reminded me
Wait.
so much of the Captain America Winter Soldier boat introduction
Yeah.
scene. Nick, what's up?
Did they reverse bungee? Were they inverted
Yeah.
ropes?
no,
Okay.
they weren't.
They weren't?
No, there was
Wait,
a
what?
giant mechanism between them that was spooling it. Remember?
So it's just that they were going in real time in this, right?
Yeah.
So at this
Yeah,
point, they
Yeah,
weren't
there's
using
no
reverse.
time
Okay.
traveling yet.
Oh, what? I thought the whole point of this was the fact that they were going up backwards
No,
through
they-
time.
No, at this
Or
point,
not the
at this point,
They
they
haven't
haven't,
done that
done that yet. They haven't done
Yeah,
that.
he doesn't know that.
So
Weird.
it's
Holy
just-
shit.
They're like, I guess they're bolted on there. I don't know, but
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what,
they
I, that's
used
what I
the-
thought.
Well, he shot him, right?
They
They did
used
the
the-
slingshot.
yeah, the
bit. Yeah,
slingshot.
they shot grappling hooks up there.
And
Batman.
then-
I don't know. I don't know why. Like the fact of them being like,
No,
well,
no.
how do we get back up? And then, or how do we? We're gonna have to find a way to get out of there. And then Robert Pattinson's like, and we have to find a way to get up. And to me, I'm like, oh wow, backwards bungee jump. Like I thought that's what the whole point of this was.
Yeah,
Wow, really,
I saw a comment that said that, and I was like, wait, I was confused because I thought they were just going straight forward with just those mechanisms because they
Yeah.
like, showed it. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool too.
It was definitely.
I just like,
mechanism.
yeah, okay.
So cool.
So they get up there, they kill all the people, they finally get the guy, and they're like, yeah, tell us the information, tell us about fucking bullets, and he's like, ooh, and then the wife tries to stop it, and he does the whole like blah 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 Tenet, and she's like, oh, I'm actually the queen pin. That song by Common is about me, or no, yeah, Testify. And they're like, oh my god, and so they fucking party for a second, and they chat it up,
Yeah,
they chop
do.
it up. They're like, hey, what's up? And she's like, oh yeah, there's this guy. And he's got the fucking thing, and it's future-y and shit, and maybe he wants to end the world. I'm not sure if they introduced that here. And she's like, you have to go get to him if you want to get to that. And he's like, got it. And what's the best avenue? His wife. They're not on good terms. They just had a big fight. All right, cool. I'll do that or whatever. And like then we go to Michael Caine, right? And he's at a really fancy restaurant, and the fancy restaurant guy is a total racist, and he's being mean to Washington. What?
Why? Like it's 2020, dude.
He's not dressed nice. This is back to the Michael Caine thing, right? Of like
Yeah.
your Brooks Brothers suit can trick people,
But
on
Michael
the
Caine
street.
is like, how are you going to disrespect Michael Caine's guest? Doesn't matter how he's dressed.
Great
That
point.
makes you look bad. Makes the restaurant look bad. This made that made no sense. And frankly, when
Definitely.
he didn't give the food to go, thank you. I was furious.
man, places like that don't get food to go, Kevin.
Oh, I'm gonna take that food out if I'm gonna walk out with the plate. You know what I mean?
Kevin just grabs the steak and walks out.
There are plenty of nice restaurants that do not do to go because it's looked at as like we don't do to go food. Are you kidding me? No, we don't
If
do that here.
you insist and have enough money, you can get whatever you want.
Yeah, sure.
Give me a burlap sack and your finest stick. I'm carrying this out of here to Bindle. All right.
I'm going to the train tracks.
So Michael Caine gives him the card. He goes and buys a nice suit. He then and he has the fake drawing or fake painting or whatever the fuck it is, fake art that Kat gave to her
The
husband.
Arepo piece.
Yes, the Arepo piece. Good job. And so he takes it to Kat to see it. And no, he goes to Kat and introduces himself and whatever. And then he shows it to her. And then that gives it away,
dude,
right? That he's him.
That was
But
really cool.
this is also the part where he basically sort of shows her like, hey, or the reveal is made that he knows that she has tricked the husband, right? There's
yeah. Like, oh, you're trying to blackmail. Well, so when he goes to see her, it's to set up the date where he's like basically blackmailing her, and she's like, "Stop being like a coward. Just tell me you're blackmailing me." But I was just gonna say the writing of their introduction, I fucking love the whole him introducing himself with the name of the artist, where he was I'm Gaussian or whatever the name was.
Go yeah.
And she was like, what? And he's like, no, this, and then he drops a repo in there, and it's just like, ugh, that was so complex in such a fun way.
I liked it.
I didn't really care either way. So anyways, yeah, that jigs up. So she'll get him an audience with her husband. But so he drops her off, right? And it looks like they're cheating. So he's invited to dinner with the old mob
You're
guy.
jumping the gun. This is when the kitchen scene happens. She's like,
We already talked about that.
okay, but I still want to
No, it's fine. It's fine. Kevin, go. You go.
So then 4 guys come around him. He's like, fuck, I'm fucked. She gets up and he's like, oh, you knew this was going to happen? She's like, I mean, maybe. She walks out. They take him to the back. Then he beats the fuck out of everyone involved. He puts a cheese grater on someone's face and pulls. And I'm going to say it, he went too fucking far. I don't care what this asshole did. He doesn't need to be cheese grated in the
just
face.
working, you know what I mean, Kev? That guy's got a wife and kids, and it's like, this is my job. I just get paid to beat people up. He comes home and his wife's like, what happened to your face? They fucking cheese grater.
I got beat up. I got beat up.
My ass beat.
Then he goes
Sometimes
outside.
cheese, sometimes you're the great.
And they have this little moment where
point.
like,
And so when he goes to the dinner with Sador, does Sador know who he is at this point? Like, is this building into his plan? Because this was another weird point for me where I was like, I don't understand why you would know. He knows this guy's a CIA agent. because he knows that because all of his guys that just got their asses whipped in the kitchen went back and were like, boss, this fucking guy is next level. Like, this guy's not an art dealer and they're not friends. But then we have that weird scene where she's like,
Well, he
how
makes a
much was
reference
it?
to that though.
Well, yeah, he was going to kill him.
He knows he's definitely letting him on the boat to kill him, but like,
Gonna shove his balls in his throat, let him choke on those.
they go through this weird moment where she goes, well, how am I supposed to explain to my husband how I know you? And he goes, oh, just say we met at a party one. And I'm like, this is a needless scene.
We met at this specific party with all this information. That was another cool thing of like, damn.
That was cool. Yeah.
It was cool, but I was like, I don't understand why they even have this. Like, why is there pretense at all? There's no need for pretense. He knows you're a secret agent trying to kill him or do something that has nothing to do with a random, you met his wife a long time ago. It was just weird to me. That was a weird moment where I was like, I liked when they dropped the pretense when he went on the boat and he's like, listen, motherfucker, I know exactly who you are. I'm going to fucking cut your throat and watch you try to get your balls out of your throat. I was like, damn.
Horrifying.
I think that the invitation to the restaurant on the Amalfi Coast, which, by the way, there's a shot where they pan around and you see this hotel tower and it's like, I stayed in that tower. That's really cool.
That's cool.
I think that was, he didn't care why he was here. He had a plan. He was going to kill him. So it didn't matter if he was CIA or FBI. He was just like, great.
I totally
he's here
get
to
that,
die.
and that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's cool. But it was just weird that they had that one scene where she was like, I have to figure out how to explain. And I just wish they had written that scene a little different where he's like, you don't have to worry about it. Like, there's that great moment. I hate to bring back like a comparison to Casino Royale, but there's a great moment when he walks into the hotel with Vesper. And the guy asks for his name and he just totally drops the cover because he was like, there's no reason to have a cover in this. Like, he knows if this guy's as good as you say he is, he already knows who I am. So let's just go.
Yeah, but
and like,
I feel like the wife was trying to not be as involved as possible. Where
but the wife also tries to kill
have
him 3 times and he never, it's just like, there's no subtlety in what she's trying to do.
Well, I guess she successfully kills him once and then
she kills him once, she pulls a gun on him earlier, and then she tries to throw him into the water prior to that. And at this point, I'm like, man.
The boat attempted murder was really bizarre to me.
I don't understand how that.
Can you imagine doing that? You do that to Gia or whoever your significant other is, and then the guy in front's like, I'm gonna turn the boat around. You're like, fuck.
No,
I had a whole fucking one-liner. You can't turn it around.
So like he talks him into hey, we're gonna work together because I want to get you this plutonium 241, right? And the guy's like, okay, cool, so let's do this. But the whole time Sator's like, I'm just trying to figure out what this fucking dude's really up to, right? Like, they're both trying to figure out each other.
I do think there's still elements of him legitimately mad that this guy is trying to fuck his wife.
Yeah, I think that's also a like
because it's his.
I definitely think they were trying to play that up. I don't necessarily think that was of importance to the grander scheme of like, I think he just was like, this guy's, he's like, this guy's fucking with me. Like, I got to kill him. He's clearly not trying to do good for me. So let's kill this motherfucker.
I feel like,
but like John David Washington does a good job of kind of evading it, which I thought was kind of cool.
I feel like, Sator, fuck man, I'm fucking up this name real bad. Sator, whatever.
You're doing great with everything else though, Kevin.
I feel like he is obviously a really, really fucked up human being, and he actually cares for his wife. So it's not just a possession thing. It's that like he wants her love, but doesn't know or understand how to have it, and to see her happy with other people is upsetting, right? So
no, I just got that he was a dominant asshole who just, if he can't have the world, no one can. And I think that was his motivation, which was fine. I don't find that to be unbelievably thrilling motivation.
There, and I agree with you, but like I do think Kevin's got it, because when he comes back, right, and he gets to time travel back to the moment he's going to kill himself and end the world, like he apologizes, right? When she's immediately like, hey, I'm sorry, and he's like, no, I lost my, or whatever he says, I lost my temper or whatever.
I'm an asshole. I shouldn't.
And and then they have that afternoon that he wanted. That is like trying to be loving again.
Yeah.
Fair. I just read that as like he just would do like he'll just do whatever it takes to keep her on that boat with him because he's just a selfish prick. And like I don't think I don't know. I think it's more about possession than it was about love. To me, that's how it read. But
I mean, like their relationship's fucked up for sure. I'm not saying they're a loving relationship, but I am saying that I think the reveal at the end when he has in his mind nothing left to lose, there's nothing left to hide. Like that entire boat scene that he eventually gets killed on at the very end of the movie when he thinks he's talking to his wife from earlier in the movie is him, and it's basically Thanos after he snapped his fingers and had the farm,
100%.
right? Where he's just sitting there. He's like,
he went for his wife. Yeah,
exactly. I'm going back to just sit there and watch the sunset and end the world. Like,
but wait, that's not true because when he went back, he thought the wife had already left. Didn't he? Because remember, doesn't he come and go? Wait, I thought you went to the shore already.
Yes. I don't think Tim's right on that part.
He didn't go back to be with his wife. He went back to just be by himself and watch this fucking world explode.
There was a line. There was a line earlier that talked about him having the fantasy of being on the boat and everything being good, and that's what he was going to do. He was going to sit there and kind of just pretend that
alone
he had his that everything was good, that she loved him, that he was happy, that he wasn't about to kill his son, but also that all that shit's confusing on what the overall plan of the him killing himself. That was gonna blow the bomb off in the city.
It was his heart stopping. They made a point of saying, well, then they introduced it, by the way, in the fourth quarter, where they were like, oh, by the way, he's got pancreatic cancer and he's going to get terminal illness. Yeah. That's why he's doing all this stuff.
Set up and I'm like, oh, okay. Earlier when they're talking about him, if you take that job, you're gonna die. It was a death sentence. Gave him cancer.
Oh, fair enough. So I think the idea was that he's dying anyway, and his heart's tied to this thing, which they also introduced in a weird line of exposition that I didn't care for. But I got the thought that we see the clicking. Well, we'll get to that. Let's move forward.
I just really quick. The idea was it blows this chamber, buries it under basically radioactive waste, and then in the future people that want to activate it and flood the world with inverse atoms will be able to find it, because then they know exactly where it is, and that would force the world to go backwards and everything come undone, right?
Which, by the way, I want to see I want to see that. I want to see the the effect of all that shit. Yeah. When they talk about don't make contact with your past human self or whatever, but then because of annihilation, I want to see that happen. I want to see what visually Nolan's
watch Time Cop, man. Just watch Time Cop.
We saw Nolan's version of what the black hole is in Interstellar.
It was tight.
And I want to see what his version of this sort of atoms sort of hitting each other, inverse atoms and real-time atoms hitting each other.
But just totally agree. Andy, it would be whatever is the most accurate at the time, right? So there's a great Because Science video where they talk about antimatter touching matter, and it's the explosion wouldn't be as big as you think, because those atoms, the ones that touch in the beginning are all the ones that are going to explode. It's still a big explosion, but it's not
that's cool.
You make all of them touch. Go ahead, Greg.
Go. So then I misunderstood this because I'm a big dum-dum, as you know. Who do we see in this movie someone send Sator the time capsule he opens with the gold and the lamp? Where was that? I missed that.
There's a flashback. There's a flashback that we go to 3 times, and at one point he opens it up, and there's those thin gold bars.
Yep.
That are from the future that we again see at another point, and a note that is giving him instructions on how to get more gold bars.
Right. That's when he kills his partner with a shovel, which is weird because I guess
to be clear, we don't see it. I'm asking, do we see that get sent back? I'm aware that I see.
I'm sorry.
That.
No, we don't see that. That's all future people.
That's from the future, and Oppenheimer people.
So
wait, here's another dumb question. So was his heart linked to the bomb that was just going to blow up and encapsulate the thing? Because I thought it was linked to the end of the world.
No. I think it was linked to the bomb that encapsulates the thing. So the end of the world thing is such a weird thing where it's technically it doesn't explode the world or anything. It just makes it so the future people get the algorithm so that they can turn it on, which eventually would turn everything back. But that's one of those things
that reverse global warming.
Yeah, but it's also simultaneous, right? Just they hide the way he got information to the future people and got stuff from them is he would put these time capsules, bury them somewhere in the future. They would unbury it, put another message and money in there, and then rebury it, but send it back through time.
Right. Okay.
So he would immediately unbury it.
His heart exploding had nothing to do with the actual mechanism of the algorithm.
I don't think.
If he dies,
I don't think so.
But then why wasn't there a timer?
So all they had to do was pull out the mechanism from the
right. But
cave.
why was there a timer on the?
It's a big explosion.
I'm confused. If he was going to die that day, he knew he was going to die that day. Then
they were gonna put it in the ground that day. Because he had gotten
the timers were just to put it in the ground, right? That he had accomplished his mission and he was gonna go back and die.
So her shooting him didn't really matter. He could have died anytime that day. It didn't really matter because the only thing that really mattered was the timer on that bomb.
Well,
right?
if
and whether or not
died,
they could get the algorithm out.
if he died before they put like his team put the algorithm in the ground, that would have been bad too.
Because
I can't
the
wait to
bomb would
watch
have gone
this
off.
again.
Yeah, because the bomb would have gone off, and then they wouldn't be
Who
able
put
to
a
get
bomb
in
in
there to hide the thing.
When you all question, this has nothing to do with the plot of the movie or anything. Where did you all watch this movie?
Oh, I went to the theater. I'm just kidding. I watched it right there, right there.
Like
watched it.
purchased or rent? How
I bought it on
Voodoo,
Amazon.
Voodoo.
Yeah.
Bought it. Yeah, I bought it on Amazon.
had
I bought
4K disc.
I bought it on the Xbox store or whatever.
Mhm.
Did you all get the IMAX scenes?
Mhm.
See, I didn't. Fuck.
Oh,
I don't
Andy.
think I did.
Like 75% of the movie.
God
was
damn it,
IMAX.
dude. I was so sad about that. And I know certain streaming services offer that. And I know sometimes you rent it and you don't get the full 70 millimeter sort of experience or whatever. I need to go back and watch it through Vudu, I guess is where y'all got it.
Mhm.
Damn it, dude. Fuck. I'm so disappointed by that. Because I mean, it's just that's an easy way to get me to love a movie is just when it switches to switches aspect ratios. Hey,
Man,
Thomas.
you picked up Thomas with a fury there. You grab him by the nape of the neck every time, like his mama.
He likes it.
Yeah.
He
No,
starts crying.
no, that's I know that's
sexual.
a sign of dominance. It's a sign of dominance. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where we are in
Uh,
this movie, man.
I mean, we've been all over the place. We haven't gotten to them. John David Washington goes and investigates the art warehouse in the Pentagon. That's not the
The
Pentagon.
Freeport, so fucking cool.
Very cool. A lot of art there. That's
Re-
neat. I like their little system. There's no water, obviously, not to ruin the art. So just fill the thing with gas that would then suck out all the oxygen and kill the fire. So
you guys hold your breath every time that they did?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Kevin.
I'd be like,
Kevin, I
"Oh,
tried, Kevin.
yeah.
I tried.
Well, none of them were too long.
I think the setup of all this was done really, really nicely because even a dumb like me was able to understand all of this stuff. Where a lot of this movie is sort of lost on me. This is one of the more simpler parts where it's like you can't fuck this up in explaining exactly how to get in and get out and what the details are and 10-second warning and all that shit. So I thought all of the lead up and the setup coinciding with sort of the art dealer telling John David Washington what the deal is, and then that sort of melding with current time of him telling Robert Pattinson, 10 seconds, like, 10 seconds, gas, oh shit. And I love the way Nolan sort of does those little those cuts in between
It's
the
so
current
come
and
on,
past
dude.
time.
Like, here's the thing about Nolan. Like, you can say what you will, but like, when you got Robert Pattinson and John David Washington, and they're getting ready for a fucking heist, and they bring in Himesh Patel, the guy from Yesterday, and I was like, "What?
God.
He's in this
so
too?"
good. So
and then
good.
they're like, "We got to break into a fucking airport, government-controlled custody place where you don't pay." And first off, they were like, "You have me at you don't pay taxes in this thing."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Cool, sign me up. I'll break in." Can I put
Yeah.
some stuff in there? Tim, I've got these nice WWE chairs that I think are worth $50.
Definitely. Let's get him. Let's get him to the Freeport.
Nick, you get like $300 for
again-
each of those shares.
Again, I really liked a lot of these action sequences, and when they have to crash the plane, and they're like, they have that one moment where they're like, well, the plane's full of gold, but like we're not gonna steal any of the gold, because if we do, that'll be even worse. Let's just spread the gold out everywhere, so it's just mass pandemonium, so we can get in and out of this. I was like,
Great.
dope.
Brilliant.
man, it is interesting, because I'm like, there's so many individually scenes like these action moments where I'm like,
Man, that's weird.
I don't actually care about the plot. I just want to see how these characters do this cool shit.
Mhm.
So that was kind of part of the joy of watching the movie for me.
It was
The line about the not being too dramatic and then having 747, that's dramatic. I was like, I love it. So
Yeah.
fucking dope. And like just such a great I mean, dude, this movie, like this week we found out Christopher Nolan's a huge Fast and Furious fan. And I'm just
Hell
like,
yeah, dude.
can
and
you imagine?
see it. But
Can you
see it.
fucking
No,
imagine? Oh yeah,
can't.
you do.
Yeah, and like it makes so much sense that he said that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think this whole scene is brilliant, and breaking in and the realization of, oh, we're not alone here, and then fighting their future selves, which you all noticed. I didn't notice at all.
I
I
didn't
just
notice
thought it
either,
was.
Andy. They
I
got
thought it
me.
was a Repo's bad, or I thought it was Sator's bad guys from the future or whatever.
I thought it was going to be both of them. I didn't catch that when he went through it was the same guy, because I didn't know that. I thought the turnstile was just a security measure in the building,
Yeah.
because I didn't quite understand why, and I still quite don't understand why there's an actual time inverting turnstile in this place where everyone, like all these billionaires, keep their art. But I guess he just had one installed
of his
there.
places. It's one of the places that Sator goes to. Like he takes bullets to this place and then inverts them, or like gets them from the inverted place to bring them into our normal time, right?
This is really, really, really cool. But this is the scene where where to me, I thought Robert Pattinson is deep undercover and has some other intentions that we don't know about yet, because it's obvious when he pulls off the mask that, oh shit, you just let that guy go.
It's somewhat. I thought he saw himself, but
I
then
thought he saw
Yeah,
himself
that's
too
my
at
concern.
first.
My thought
I was
too.
like,
my
oh,
thought
it's
too.
just those two people, but that's cool.
Yeah. And then he meets up with what's her face again, and she's like, oh no, you met one person.
Yeah,
That
that was a really cool moment for me where it was like,
Yeah.
oh.
I'm so bad with
'cause
all the names. Sorry.
I didn't.
The
I
arms
didn't-
dealer, the Indian arms dealer.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that they had the technology
Yeah.
to invert. I thought the whole movie up until this point was just going to be sort of about like these. I thought it was going to be a little bit more about the objects themselves, but it turned out the objects were just sort of like the gateway drug into
Yeah.
the inversion.
Yeah.
Because all the bullets and stuff, they tried to use that to sort of explain how the mechanics of the world work. And I'm like, okay, I'm kind of getting this. But I thought that was going to have a bigger play. Like Andy was talking about earlier, I thought they were going to be like, cool, let's take all this inverted gear and figure out really interesting, clever ways to like do these heists with it that no one would see. But it became less about that and more about the actual people going back and moving through time differently, which was a much more heady idea.
And again, the spectacle of fighting of a person in forward time fighting an inverted person, kind of awkward in some spots.
Yeah.
There's like, and
Very.
I know it's supposed to feel
Yeah.
that way, and it's supposed to feel disjointed, and it's physics at odds with each other and stuff. But there are some sort of weird, funky moves that like, oh, this isn't like as cool as I thought it should be. It's still like awesome in theory, but there's still some awkwardness in the movements of like when he's trying to reach for the gun and he's like, I don't know, there's some weird spots. Yeah.
I think
cool. I
that
loved it.
like I agree that it looks weird in moments, and it looks weird in both perspectives, right? Because
Because it has to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just think that's so cool and like so well designed, where it's like
Yep.
Yeah.
it looks weird, so that those moments that stood out as weird now, when you see it from the opposite perspective, make total sense, and it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
so sick.
Really cool.
Yeah.
But then they get out.
Yeah, they get out. Yeah, we've already talked that scene to death or whatever, right? So they get out, and from there, this is where he goes to the boat, right? The protagonist goes to the. Well, we already talked about him talking to the arms dealer. Then he goes to the boat to be on there with her and him and the kid. And this is where they're making, more inroads to it. And Sator's like, this is where we need you to go get this other thing for me, the plutonium. Is that what it is? He's going to go get the plutonium. And there's more stuff. This is where the boat stuff happens, where they try to kill her. Hit her. He drinks vodka with Sador, and he's like, hey, just fuck. What I want is that you don't retaliate against your wife or whatever. He's like, sure. Then he walks in there with a belt and puts cufflinks in it, like he's gonna fucking beat her. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I've worn a belt and cufflinks, and I've never thought about this combination, and I don't like where this is going.
I did want to say before the boat scene, or just during that whole boat scene, I thought, man, rich people just live way different lives.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't even know what this fucking sport is, and like. Can you imagine like how awkward you would be in the situation where Sador's like, yeah, do you know how to sail? I would be like, yeah, of course. And then like suddenly it cuts to John David Washington like fucking cranking this thing. Like, I don't know what I'm doing right now, man. This is so confusing. It's just it's one of those things that I didn't even really know this sport existed. I've seen people on sailboats, but what are they doing?
There's a big thing over here, like in the bay, like a huge one
really?
that happens like every. I don't know how long.
It's
right,
like
it's a
rich people from
I've never
yeah.
Well,
seen it in my life.
they pay people to do the races for them. They
Oh,
own the
okay.
boats. Yeah.
It just seems really confusing. I was like, wow.
Yeah, someone died last time. It was very
Oh, shit.
dangerous. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. That shit that happened was no joke in the movie.
God damn.
Yeah.
All right, so this is where the shit hits the fan, right? Where they're like, John David Washington's like, I'm gonna recruit Kat and have her work, or he's in with Sador. We're gonna have her working on this too to open a door or whatever. I won't lie to you. I start browning out around here. I definitely go in and out of consciousness throughout this and the car chase stuff. I got the broad strokes for y'all though. And, they eventually go to get the thing, and then it all goes bad. And then they get in cars and they're driving, and then the car's driving in reverse, and they're tossing shit out the window at each other or whatever. Kevin, you go.
I was just gonna say that I like the whole like, hey, let's use Kat, and it's like, why are we gonna use Kat? And it's like, oh, because
no one will suspect her, right?
Well, it's also you love her, you won't kill her, but like you also might kill her. So this ensures that you won't kill her because we need her around. It was a good way to protect her. but not that great way, I guess.
Yeah, of course, because this is where it goes,
the,
right?
The biggest, the most confusing thing for me is why are some of the cars driving backwards? And Tim, you sent me this infograph, but I haven't actually taken the time to read it yet.
Yeah, it's too much.
It
But
just-
there is an infograph on the. If you could just pull it up, Kev, just so people can see. There's this really like scroll through it. Like there's this whole explanation of the cars and how the turnstile machine works and using the red and blue. And these are the consistent rules of the movie that all the different scenes follow. You can check this out on the Tenet Reddit/r/Tenet.
Man, Christopher Nolan's getting to the point where he's going to have to hand out pamphlets to people as they're watching his movies.
Yeah, as they walk in, like, here you go.
Hey,
but
you're going to want to read specifically the first 50 pages of this pamphlet before you watch this movie because you're going to.
I think it's walk out
Little
of the movie, not walk into.
Yeah.
The movie.
Well, but that's the thing. Obviously,
And
like
that's what-
Christopher Nolan does that, right? He designs these movies for people to be like, we have to
Absolutely.
go online and talk and really digest all of this information. And that's the Christopher Nolan experience, like for this type of movie. It's just not the Nolan that I like. I like it a little bit more consumable as we're watching it, and like how I like Interstellar more than this movie just because I just thought that was a lot more heart and more straightforward story. But it did have some nebulous, ambiguous stuff as well.
So yeah, as we were talking about earlier, this is where the jig gets up, right, and Sator shoots Kat at some point with a reverse bullet that we know would do a lot of damage, because we were told that.
Why does it do a lot of damage, Kevin?
Reverse radiation is spreading through her. I
Which
don't
really
understand
means that it's
100%.
leaving her. It's taking all the radiation out of her body.
Yeah, and you need.
Yeah,
that
you have to have
stay
radiation in your body,
alive.
Greg.
Yeah,
That's what chocolate
everybody
cake
has
provides
trace
you.
amounts of radiation.
It's true.
Andy's at 13% right now, I think.
Andy, you're gonna
Oh,
die.
it's too much, Andy.
Good or
It's
bad?
too much.
Oh, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, all right, she's been shot and she's going to die in a matter of hours unless we go inverse her. So if we take her through the thing
Where
into the
she'll
past
heal.
or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Into
She'll
the
start healing.
inverse
We can do
land.
this stuff. And then we'll go through and we'll do that. And then we'll put each other in. We got to get back to where everything happens. So we're going to get put in shipping containers and we're going to be shipped across the sea backwards to go over there. And then
With
we'll
a
get over
fuck
there.
ton of oxygen. Just
And
Totally.
yeah, and also
obscene.
when they are when they're having this conversation, this is where John David Washington sort of tells our paths like, what the fuck, you knew about this shit? And this is where it's sort of like starting to dawn on him more and more that our paths knows a lot more than he's leading to believe. And he's like, I just can't say shit, dude. I
Ignorance
cannot.
is our ammunition.
Yeah, it's cool.
And so yeah, they get back over there. They get back to the airport. They get back in time that way. And so then we see the fight scene in reverse and whatever, and they're running around punching and doing stuff there. They then I don't know, go through the turnstile a couple times with different woos and wazos. They're all over the fucking place. And then they're the other car on the road and shit's going across the thing. And they got the thing, but looks like they tossed the thing, but they really tossed the thing into the back of the car. And now you got things everywhere, and
Yeah,
people
so-
are just like, man, there's a lot of things.
Lots of things and lots of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got
Lots
things a
of things
little
and
bit
lots of
out of
stuff.
order because at the end of the like chase scene,
Do
the
we?
first time.
Because in the future, it's all gonna make sense.
Yeah.
No.
That's a joke. That's
Yeah,
a joke.
no, I know,
Continue.
I got
Sorry.
it.
Bad joke.
It's just at the end when what's her face gets shot, Cat's her
Yeah.
name?
Yeah.
When
yeah,
she gets shot, he then goes into the inverse thing and tries to stop it because he saw himself in the car. So
Yeah.
this is like the first moment where it's like, yeah, you can't change things, and he's actually seeing proof because he went over there to try to change stuff, but he ends up still handing over the piece of the algorithm. It's interesting stuff.
Okay.
Is this the fire truck scene?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Oh man, so fucking cool. I love the whole heist plan thing of like going around the car, surrounding it, and just having the little fire truck ladder go back and forth and to drill the hole and shit. All of this is like peak Nolan action scene. And it's just so well shot. You get that overhead shot where you see the car surrounded by all the other trucks and shit. It's just fucking dope as hell.
I agree with you with one exception. Like, those are the dumbest fucking cops in
No.
the entire world.
Well, also one of them does not react to anything, which is so weird from a direction. Like he's getting shot at, and the cut to the guy. He's like, "Oh man, I hope I get home in time for lunch." Oh, a bullet, and then he's just like the car like flips
But
over.
It
We're-
doesn't
we're
like,
technic-
they're like looking and being like, "Oh, is there a car getting crushed between those two cars?"
It's very
that
weird.
are all
It's
too
very-
close together. Why have the cops? Like,
Tim,
you didn't need to
I
raise,
don't know.
raise the
Good,
stakes.
good
more.
question, Kev. Andy,
Tim,
what's up?
we're technically not in the fire truck scene. We passed that a long time ago. We're on
Okay.
the flip side of it where
Yeah.
John David watch it, and then that's where, I mean, you know,
Technically the same
I think
scene.
I think I'm kind of the perfect audience for Nolan because I don't see these things always coming, and then so when it's slowly revealed that, oh, this is the car that you're in the car that flipped as you got into, oh, got it, okay, this is where all the sort of dots start connecting for me, and that's the stuff that just gets me going. I'm like, that's clever. I like that shit. It's easy to please me as an audience member to have those little moments of reveals. And then yeah, the car flips or whatever. And then like Greg was saying, lots of stuff and lots of things happening. Lots of things and lots of stuff happening. And that's, you know, the exchange of the vehicle or the orange briefcase, the
Sure.
nuclear football. Let's call it the nuclear football.
The nuclear football.
Yeah.
Then we're into Endgame, right? Sador thinks his wife's dead. He thinks he's gonna go back and kill himself. The arms dealer tells us this, right? That was the plan altogether, all along, to do all this and let him get all the stuff and let him get the formula and yada yada yada. And so now we have an army of fucking people, red and blue teams, that are gonna go assault the little town he came from that I was talking about earlier with the Michael Caine story.
With Quicksilver himself, Aaron Taylor Johnson, joined in.
Did not know until we did this.
game.
Didn't know.
Really?
Didn't know that was him.
I literally was talking to my wife about it last night, and I was like, you know, the guy that looked like Aaron Taylor Johnson, and she's like, you mean Aaron Taylor Johnson? I was like, wait, that was him.
He does such a good job covering up his accent.
Got like a Christian Bale accent.
Let it stand. Let it stand. No, his Russian
It's an accent from the Avengers movie.
Oh,
Watch
I
it.
see
Didn't
what
see
you're
how it's
saying.
coming.
Apologize.
You know, that one.
Got it.
I like that
took a
guy.
turn
He
of-
was so fucking like.
Quicksilver, yeah, he gets
Yeah,
a bad rap in the MCU.
He
I agree.
gets. No.
How dare you, Greg?
God.
You're just trying to piss people off.
Uh,
Chad, light him
Aaron
up,
Taylor
light him up,
Johnson's
Chad.
dope. I like him in
He's-
everything he's better.
He's so in. He's so in for like the hey, the people that go down there aren't coming back out, and it's like, oh my god, you're gonna fucking have to kill each other, and then he's like, I'll do you, you do me. They're like, all right, it sounds good, and then
Yeah, but that was another confusing point for me because then to get out of the end, and he's like, "Cool, I'll see you around." I'm like, "Wait, I thought you guys had to fucking kill each other right now." And then he
Ignorance.
goes, "We have to go bury these things, and all three of us have to take them to the corner of the earth, just like fucking Transformers,
What?
and we have to bury these
It's
things."
Transformer.
We're not Transformers, sorry, like Wonder Woman, where we have to like, okay, you get a part of this, you get a part of this, you get a part
you're
of this
talking about the
mother
mother
box.
box. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Robert Pattinson's like, "Actually, I'm just going to give you my piece of the algorithm," and Aaron Taylor Johnson's like, "All right, cool."
Ignorance is the ammunition of these people. You know what I mean? Like they have to not know what's going forward, so that they can make the decisions on the spot.
But anyway, when they're talking about this whole fight, and they're like, "Yeah, the army that we're going to be fighting will be full of normal people. It'll be full of inverted people," and all of this stuff is just like, just visual diarrhea to me because I don't know what's
I
happening.
agree.
I didn't like this scene at all. I thought that, like, first off, it was a cool concept when they were explaining it, but the way everything was edited and the way like there was like they clearly were like, we got to put some indication of who's who in this. But midway through, I was like, I don't know what's happening.
But they
I
didn't
don't care
I thought
because
that was the weirdest thing to me. Is like,
no, they put red bands on some people and blue bands on some people, and I
That
don't
was a
remember seeing any
theme throughout-
enemies.
That was the theme
at
throughout
no
the whole
point
movie.
did I. It was the theme, but it's like at no point did that help me distinguish who's on what side.
What the hell's
People
happening,
moving
yeah.
backwards is what helped me distinguish who's on what
Yeah.
side. And I feel like there were so few moments that on first watch, and I do want to go back and like see cool breakdowns of this shit because I think it's easy to get distracted by, oh, it's just a bunch of explosions backwards. There's a lot more going on, but I need it to be broken down for me because the scene where they like rocket launch at that building
Yep.
and it breaks in a certain way, that's cool as shit. But I want more of that throughout this whole thing. And I bet that there's a ton of little moments like looking around that aren't just explosions backwards.
It really just feels like they are fighting it like an invisible enemy that I
Yeah.
don't even know is around. And it really does remind me of sort of the end of Inception in the snow level, where a lot of it is just it's action because we want to have an action set piece here, and we don't really know what we're trying to get by to the audience, but we need to get to the final plot point. We can't just get you there. We got to have like a cool action scene with guns and stuff. It's just kind of like it was just very much let's
Noise.
just throw this in there. Yeah, it's just very noisy.
Yeah, I'm with you on that
I
one.
wasn't a
And
huge fan of it.
That was a weird thing too, because I think halfway through I was like, wait, who are they shooting at? And where are the enemy? Because I'm sure if we went back and watched it, you could see multiple instances of it. But it all felt so visually overwhelming that I was like, I swear to God, these people are just shooting at buildings. I don't know if there's anyone in these buildings.
Yeah,
And then
they show a guy in a building shoot a rocket at them, and then
Right.
it like comes backwards or whatever.
There is
a lot of it
there is
just made no sense to me.
There is a great visual moment though, where like somebody gets sucked back into like a building, like they're
Yeah.
trying to get out of the building, and the things go around her, and it's like horrifying.
Yeah.
And then of course the whole point is just to get John David Washington and Aaron Taylor Johnson into the thing, which
But at the right time.
which they
Then
kind
the
of like
car's
even that
honking.
moment was like, okay, we're gonna do this thing. Okay, blow it. Okay, now go. I was like, well, we should have gone 2 seconds ago. You guys, the timing was a little off on this, but they get him down to the thing, and then the horn starts honking, and I was like,
and you're just like,
that's gotta be
someone,
Neil.
yeah, someone's
Yeah.
fucked with time. They're trying to change some shit, but they can't hear it.
Yeah.
And so they get down there, like you said, the horn was honking. It's Neil from the future past, whatever, where he had seen them setting the booby
Greg,
trap,
what are your
and so
eyes
he was
just
trying
went,
to
like,
stop them.
cross-eyed?
I like, what a day to have like a migraine. And then he runs
Sorry.
down there and trips the wire. Boom, 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 boom. They get down there. There's the door. It's a hodgepodge now of things we've talked about. Meanwhile, there's the second plane of action, which I do feel we've talked to death, of him back on the boat with his wife, but it's not the right wife. He doesn't realize it's both of them from their timeline, but he thinks he's with the wife from the past timeline.
He's talking
She
to
eventually
Sato through
fucking
the
kills me.
radio.
Well, the entire time they're having this weird conversation, which is a very long scene. And obviously, it's the climax of the movie. She's like waxing and dropping things. Like she's like, oh, I spilled some sunscreen over there, and also I've taken these things off of this, and clearly I'm plotting to murder you and
He
slide
wasn't
you
there.
off
He
of
wasn't
this
there
board.
when those things opened up.
He
He
was
wasn't
trying
there.
to enjoy his
Once
last
we did
moments.
that though, the entire time I was just like, so what's her plan? Okay, she's taking these things off. She's
It was
clearly
or- it
making
was
this real
elaborate.
slippery. I was like, is she going to just slide him off the boat?
That
There's
was
no
the
way
plan.
she's gonna
That
fucking
was the
slide
plan.
him off the boat. And then she slides him off the boat. And I was like, Nolan, you motherfucker.
I
You
just
did
wish
it.
it didn't. There's a couple moments in this movie that looked stupid. Like one of them.
Oh,
is
I
the-
loved how
the-
this looked.
The crawling back, the sliding, and then there was a moment where someone steps on a rock that is reverse exploding, and it like flips them over, and it's just like that. Like I get it. It was supposed to be a visual cool thing, but that just looked silly.
It looks silly. Yeah, it looks weird sometimes. But yeah, I mean, that makes sense for the whole part of her undoing the chains for the barrier to slide him underneath or whatever. Because we see her undoing the chains, and you're wondering like, why is she doing this? And then it all sort of makes sense.
But also the anal retentive part of me, if like that were my boat, I'd walk up and be like, why are those things undone? Like, what the hell happened over there? Who undid this? Am I gonna get slid off this thing after a bullet goes to my heart? Anyway, let's keep going.
Yeah, she slides his fucking body off after she shoots him in the throat too early. Of course, he talks shit to them down in the hole because he thought he already won. She jumps off in time for past her to see her jump off, but not for past her to see her and the other guy drag the fucking corpse away, which I thought was dope as hell. Yeah.
I'm assuming they hid this body, right? So people in the future are like, we don't know what the hell happened to him.
Well,
Yeah,
he's alive in that timeline, so it's just there's a double body. It'd be like if I killed past you, or if I
Right.
killed future you right now, nobody would be looking for you.
She should put his balls in his throat.
Jesus Christ.
I was waiting for it. I was a little upset.
He
That would've been a
died.
lot.
He's dead. She won. man.
And so down there, all the stuff that we said happens. Pattinson pops up, takes the bullet for John David Washington. He
Sad
picks
scene.
the locks though, so he can get in there. They start dragging the thing out, but the thing starts exploding. But then Pattinson's up there in the Jeep, and he drives away, dragging the thing and dragging them. And they almost get sucked in again, which is really tense. And then they get away with it, and then they talk about it, and then we have the conversation of this is the end of a beautiful friendship.
start.
Pattinson goes back to die.
Real quick,
He says it's the end, doesn't he?
yeah, he says it's the end for me. It's the start for you.
At the beginning of you. for you.
I like the overall consistency with characters where Pattinson, like multiple times, was talking about how he's good at lockpicking, and at the end, it's like, well, I'm the only one good enough to lockpick this out.
Must have been me. Yeah.
And also,
wasn't John David Washington the one that lockpicked like all the doors though?
no, he broke
In the
he
customs
broke his when he was doing it. Remember? So he was clumsy. Like what's his face went through and just knocked him out. Also, the dude that's putting trying to get the bomb down is the only guy that beats the shit out of the protagonist. Like earlier, he when he's
tall guy.
watching with the brick, yeah, the gold brick gets like that dude they got caught stealing the gold
Oh,
brick.
right.
Yeah,
When he was sort of eavesdropping on that little
yeah.
conversation.
It's cool.
And so yeah, then like we said, it's emotional, and Pattinson goes away, and then he had given Kat the phone, and so Kat's walking the kid to school and sees the car over there, and like that doesn't look right. And then John Davis, he gets in the back, the protagonist gets in. How did you know? He shoots the other guy, and he talks to the arms dealer and plays the message that she's recording right now, shoots her, and then they walk away into the sunset. He's not just he's not just another protagonist. He is the leader of Tenet. He's building the organization because the people he has in his organization he sent back to work with him and teach him the organization. Tenet. Wow.
Fucking love this movie.
Hit me, Andy.
7 syllables in the middle. You'll need 5 for the first and last line. Damn, I should have done all this backwards. It would have been way cooler. Haikus don't need to rhyme. Haiku in review. Yeah,
There, perfect.
George
You gotta
Kanga writes into patreon.com/kindafunny, just like you can with your reviews in haiku form. Like Missy's Work It, Nolan made a film, then flipped it and reversed it.
Oh, wow. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really damn good.
Why is
Great.
Randy smart?
Randy Stack says visuals are stunning, plots incomprehensible, action cool but weird.
Not so much that kid. He's not as smart.
Eagles fan Jordan says time travel is weird. Cheese grater to the damn face.
Oof.
Movie was not great. Grant Burton says it's about time. I wish it was that simple. Oh, look, it's Batman.
That's good. That's good.
Vengeance.
Andrew Feister says a bridge to before. Fold my hands and say Tenet. Bridge to the future. And then finally, Salty Bob writes in and says, what if I told you this haiku is see what?
That's
That's
good.
cool.
That's
It
good.
is what
That's
you
Somebody
Yeah,
on
it is
Twitter
what you
play
think.
that back, but reverse that. I want to see if Tim nailed the.
Dude,
the
I have a
pronunciation.
whiteboard right here that I've been practicing with it written out how I'm actually supposed to say it.
That's
in reverse.
amazing.
That's
Yeah,
not
because right,
true at all.
you're not
That's
just
not
reading
true
it.
at all.
You're supposed to reverse. It doesn't matter.
I would love it
Yeah.
if you panned the camera over and it was just eating a sandwich.
Little Ray, what do we do for this one? This is
The very young boy
Look at Megan.
was one of them. I think.
Well,
I
the
was-
protagonist.
Go for
we Greg, do something.
Well, I don't know. That's a question. Does anybody remember? Because it might be that I moved over to my laptop at one point, but I only have 2 people ranked on the Ragu Bagu. Is that right? Did we not do other people for the other ones? Right now we have number
there
1,
was
Lenny and
one-
Mementos. Number 2, Mementos. And
Oh,
number
no, we
2,
just did the
young man.
protagonists.
Yeah, we just
following.
did protagonist.
No.
Oh,
Wait,
this
hold
is
on.
But even then, we did way more than 2 movies. Let me go to my laptop.
There's the young man for sure.
Young man.
I think. Why do I remember me doing this? I thought I did.
I think
this.
you might
That's
have
kind of
done this.
wild because this is kind of wild that we were ranking the protagonist, and that's the name of his fucking character.
Oh, so number 1,
wow.
right?
Andy, did you come from the future to tell
Wow.
me back when we decided this? Wow.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Ragu Gugu. I have Ragu Gugu, but I only have one. The young boy. That's all I got.
He's so young.
Okay, guys. Ragu Gugu. Hold on. Oh, I got to have the full list. Okay. All right. Right here. from-
Ragu.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Rad Guys Talk Good Guys, I guess. Right now, we've got number 1, all right, from Interstellar. Number 2, Batman and Wolverine from The Prestige. Number 3, Cobb Salad from Inception. Number 4, Lenny from Memento. Number 5, Hooah from Insomnia. Number 6, the just incredibly young boy from Following. And then number 7, Watermelon Sugar from Dunkirk, which I assume
Watermelon
is
sugar.
Harry
Hi.
Styles. Where do we want to
We're
put
such assholes.
where do we want to put the protagonist on this list of good guys in the
So-
Nolan universe?
Can you say the top 3 again?
Matthew, all right from Interstellar, Batman and Wolverine from Prestige, and Cobb Salad from Inception.
4.
4.
I say number 3.
I'd say 4.
I'm putting 4.
I'd put it
I'm
number
putting-
2, but sounds like
I don't know why. I just think of the scene where he's talking to the arms dealer and she's telling him about the whole algorithm that was done in the future and spread apart or whatever. And there was just so many lines there that were just really badly delivered.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'd rank him a little lower on the list from that. I think he just got poorly directed in a couple of these scenes, and also just there's not much to this protagonist. Like he doesn't really have too much of a story arc. I think the focus of this movie is more on the mechanics of the inversion than it is in telling anyone's real stories. So for me, I think like he's a good vehicle for that, but there was some stuff lacking that I wish. And I wish it just had a little bit more depth to the characters in general across the board.
So now it's time to rank the Nolan movies. Can you please bring up the rankings? Currently, at number 1, we have The Dark Knight. Number 2, we have Interstellar. Number 3, we have Inception. Number 4, Batman Begins. Number 5, The Prestige. Number 6, The Dark Knight Rises. Number 7, Memento. Number 8, Dunkirk. Number 9, Following. Number 10, Insomnia.
What the fuck was that?
Those
So
are
we
great.
low energy Bane.
I'm hungry.
That was my
migraine.
That was Bane migraine. Yeah.
I want to start this off. I think that this is a better movie than Interstellar, but I think it's nowhere close to Inception or Batman Begins. So with that, I would put it at number 5. I love The Prestige, but I do think that this movie, again, it does a lot really, really well. And I think that when we look at things like Interstellar, I hated the end of it. I hate that Love's the answer and all that stuff. I feel like I was satisfied with the end of this.
You're a machine. You're just a content-making machine, Tim Gettys.
Mhm.
And I enjoy the
Goddamn
more Inception style storytelling, and I love that this feels like a spiritual successor to it, not a sequel, but it's in the same vein of like, let's come up with a really cool mechanic and use it in this world. And I think they use it for the most part very well. I wish they took it a little further in a lot of ways, but I think the choreography of this movie is unmatched. I think as a spy movie, this was cool as shit. I love Mission Impossible. I love James Bond, and this feels like it did that stuff extremely well. So I'll put it at number 5.
I'll go second. I agree with a lot of what Tim is saying. However, I just didn't care much about the characters in this movie because I think you are so focused on the mechanics behind everything, and I think this goes below The Prestige because I think I just cared about those characters more. I cared about what was going to happen to them more, and by the end of this, I was just watching the end credits trying to think about the future self and the past self as opposed to the actual people that I'm supposed to care about on screen. And I think it's obviously a really impressive movie to come up with and concept, just like Inception was. But I still think The Prestige is an overall a better movie and a little just more easily digestible, I would say. I put this in number 6.
I agree with Tim Tam Gettys. Put it at number 5, below Batman Begins, above The Prestige.
Obviously,
Kevin?
I'm a lot hotter on this movie than anyone else is. I legitimately love when I was done. It's one of those things that this I wish we could have walked out of theater and just talked for an hour and a half because that's what this movie was made for. I loved it. I thought it was so good. I would put it, and I know that it's not going to get here, but I think it's better than Interstellar. I would put it as number 2 in our list.
Yeah, it's going to rank a little lower for me. I'm trying to figure out if I want it above or below Prestige right now, but I'll put it above Prestige just from the sheer ambitiousness of this movie and trying to follow all these things from a writing standpoint. I give them kudos for that. But again, kind of echoing my earlier statement, there really are 2 types of Nolan movies for me. There's a little bit more straightforward character study movie that have these elements. And then there's the Inception style movies where they are designed for you to walk out and be like, fucking fire up the Reddit app. I got to see the theories on this. I got to see the maps. I got to see the whiteboards. I got to see all these things. And I guess I've just come to the conclusion, I don't vibe with those quite as much as I vibe with the Interstellars that are a little bit more about the characters. So I'm with Andy on this one where it would rank a little bit lower. I'd probably put it, I'll put it above The Prestige.
So who thinks it's better than Dark Knight Rises? Raise your hand. All of us. Who thinks it's better than The Prestige? Raise your hand. And there we go. It is now the new number 5. So number 1, The Dark Knight. Number 2, Interstellar. Number 3, Inception. Number 4, Batman Begins. Number 5, Tenet. Number 6, The Prestige. Number 7, The Dark Knight Rises. Number 8, Memento. Number 9, Dunkirk. Number 10, Following. And number 11, Insomnia. Goddamn, Christopher Nolan. You make some awesome movies, and I very much appreciate the fact that you make movies. If you're ever going to watch this, I hope that you do one day. Anyways, this was our last in review for 2020. We will return next year, the first week of January, or first couple weeks of January. We will be doing Cobra Kai season 1 and 2 as one episode. We'll be doing Cobra Kai season 3 as one episode, and also Wonder Woman 1984. It's happening. We are returning to the DCEU, everybody. Till next time.
I choose to believe that Max grows up to be Neil.
Me too.
Yeah.
I can't wait till Neil's Batman.